Man, where'd September go? It felt like yesterday it was September 1st. Now we're to October, Halloween season, spooky season, whatever you want to call it. We got a lot to get into today over these next 3 hours. We've got playoff baseball going on right now. We've got some football to talk about after the Monday Night Football showdown from last night. So we got a ton to get into over these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing great. You know my love of October, and we turned the calendar. And sadly, before we could get to October, one of the great October players of all time, Pete Rose, passed away last night right after we got off the air.
Literally.
And I almost asked for Rob Fisher to rejoin us today, but I know he's very busy, and I did not want to impose because Rob knew Pete Rose really well, worked with him for years in Las Vegas. They did sports overnight in the early days of all 24 hours, all talk, all the time, sports talk radio. And they did the midnight to 6 bell shift together.
Oh,
and
man.
Day was night, night was day, and Rob was young. Rob has told me many times along with his late father, they loaded up the vehicle and headed to Vegas and to get started in this crazy racket that we love, and we got in, and he got to know and appreciate and understand Pete Rose very well there. And like all of us, Pete Rose, flawed, to very flawed.
Sure.
But unlike all of us, every one of Pete Rose's flaws hit the front pages of all the newspapers, and we know of the fall that he had with Major League Baseball. But today is the day to talk about the good. I swear, Bryant, Reggie Jackson's got the best nickname of any ever in sports, especially one that you don't really go by. Magic Johnson, you go by Magic. Babe, you go by Babe.
Sure.
But just kind of and then the best Twitter handle at Mr. October. I swear, if he wasn't Mr. October, I think Peter Edward Rose would be.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was nails in that month. He really was all the time all-star at 5 different positions, both corner, outfields, first base, second base, third base, on the infield, and all those playoffs for the Big Red Machine, the World Series for the Big Red Machine, and then winning one with the Phillies when he went there is probably, along with Reggie Jackson, the position player free agents of the first big wave of free agency. Catfish Hunter was the first big free agent everybody going after, and the Yankees got him. And everybody went after Reggie Jackson, and the Yankees got him, and everybody went after Charlie Hustle, and the Phillies got him and put him at first. And he was very good, more than adequate, very good first baseman.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, when you kind of look back at his life, and just think about him as a baseball player and what he did on the field, it's remarkable. I was reading, there was a kind of a long-form obituary-style story done somewhere on the internet that I was reading earlier this morning about Pete Rose and kind of this, mindset he had of, Charlie Hustle and hustling with everything he did. And
running out home runs.
Oh, man, and I had no idea about this. His father was a semi-pro football player and was
Cincinnati policeman.
Yeah, that's right. I had no idea about that. So kind of this, hard worker, just loved the game of football and really got after it. And then from a young age, saw this love of sports in Pete Rose and, really tried to fuel that in him and kind of ingrain that attitude into him. And sure enough, it worked out. And so I thought, I learned some really good stuff about Pete Rose over this last, almost 24 hours now that I just did not know, and I felt like I knew a good amount about Pete Rose.
And, Bryant, sadly, as your baseball sports brain was being formed, we sadly reduced him, and he helped reduce himself into there was one story about him.
Sure.
We couldn't get to him on the field. We couldn't get to his exploits. We couldn't get to, played at one speed all the time. And that upbringing he had in Cincinnati, I would hear Mike Shannon tell these stories. He always had a symmetry with Pete Rose because his dad was a St. Louis policeman. I want somebody out there that's listening right now, and I'm sorry that I don't know, but the late Tim McCarver, I think I would love to know what his dad did for a living. I think I've heard that he was a member of MPD, but I don't know that for certain. I'm thinking that, but I would love for somebody to hit us up at the text line and let me know what Tim McCarver did, because those were tough-minded people and they were in jobs where you took a shower before you or a bath before you went to work, and one when you got home.
That's right, absolutely, and so definitely helped kind of form their sons, and obviously I think part of their work ethic is part of that, and certainly Pete Rose. But you're right. I mean, growing up, it was anybody talk about Pete Rose. I mean, it was never
one story.
It was never what he did as a baseball player. It was always the unfortunate ending for him with Major League Baseball. And so I hate that that's kind of what has stuck to him. But I am glad to see a lot of stories being written, stories being told on television, on radio, on podcasts that are more positive and more about him as a player and not about that one story that has kind of overshadowed his entire life.
And there was a time in this area, in the Memphis market, Bryant, that I'm going to say more than smattering of Reds fans. First of all, their success was so prominent that a lot of people kind of, or some went that way with them. And on the night of the hit that broke Ty Cobb's record, I think that year there was like a sporadic package on Channel 30 of Reds games.
Wow.
I mean, getting anything on TV was kind of difficult, except for, Monday night and the Saturday afternoon game of the week. And that was on a Tuesday, September 11th, 1985, that he passed Ty Cobb in a record that, for a long time, nobody thought would get in the neighborhood of it, and he did it. There's no way for me to be able to prove this, but if all that happened hadn't happened, I think Pete Rose was on his way to defying superstars don't make good managers coaches, or often don't. I think he was on his way to be he was going to be a great manager with the Reds, and when everything went down in August of '89 and he was banned from baseball by Bart Giamatti, well, the next year Lou Piniella stepped in and the Reds won it. And Lou Piniella even said, Pete Rose left me loaded and left these guys knowing how to play the game. In Lou Piniella's mindset, now, he wasn't as a gifted a player. He was a good player, Rookie of the Year in '70 for the Royals. He wasn't as gifted a player of Pete Rose, but their mindset was the same way.
Sure.
I mean, they were tough guys, and you didn't have to ask either one of them twice to put up the Dukes.
That's right.
Pete Rose, what he did to Buddy Harrelson at second base at Shea Stadium, and what Lou Piniella did to Spaceman Lee, dropping on his head and wrecking his shoulder.
Spaceman.
Well, that's you got Spaceman out of him.
It's a great nickname, but
a lot of people like the Reds in that era because they were so good, and I don't think there's any doubt he was the key cog of the Big Red Machine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And very sad news. And literally, I mean, Darian and I were talking about this earlier. I mean, we got off the air yesterday, and I mean, I don't think either of us had even left the building. I think we were in our cars, but we had not left the building yet. And we start kind of getting the
TMZ Sports.
TMZ, and that's why I kind of had to
broke it.
I had to make sure it was accurate when I saw TMZ.
Aren't they always?
It feels like they are, but they also have kind of that idea around them that maybe they're not always.
Well, they're buying stories.
Exactly.
I think they got every emergency room in the country paid off.
Right. I was about to say maybe not accurate is not the word. Maybe it's maybe they're not the most ethical in how they get their stories, but
Brett and I were talking about that. Not that it's a fallacy or anything, but their credibility has gone through the roof lately. That was TMZ of old.
Yeah.
TMZ of today will get the story right.
That's true.
They do, Darian, and now they may get down there in the muck and mire to get it.
Yeah.
But they get it,
you don't confuse them with AP.
No. Back to that kind of ethical thing. But no, I mean, it was that was the news out of that. And then it was, kind of a couple minutes passed, and you're looking, it's only TMZ reporting, and you're going, okay. And then after that, it was everybody. But yeah, really sad news.
Just for the sake of honesty, because if I've got any friends listening right now, I know they're going, wait a second, Brett, you're leaving out a big part of you and your story of the Reds.
Okay.
Sports-wise, I hated them because they were so good.
Well, yeah.
And the Cardinals, the Reds were in the West, which that's how weird we had it in the 70s. Mm-hmm. The Reds were in the West, and the Cardinals couldn't stay on the field with them, really, or the Phillies, for the balance of the latter half of the 70s, and I despised them because they were so good, and would have the argument of Ted Simmons is really better than Johnny Bench at catcher. Ted Simmons was really good and in the Hall of Fame, but he wasn't better than Johnny Bench.
Brett, can I quickly ask you about the January 5, 2004, the Charles Gibson interview? What was the tone or tenor around Charlie Hustle finally admitting he bet on it?
Well, Dan, and I say this with all respect and proper accord on why in these days after he just passed, everybody knew he had not been honest. Everybody knew that it was worse than he had always let on, and if he had early on, they were never going to let him in a dugout again. Mm-hmm. They were never going to let him be around a team again. But I think it could have been mitigated a little bit with honesty. But like all of us, flawed when you're nailed, some right or wrong. Sometimes the first reaction is to cover up and maybe tell a untruth. And everybody knew during the Charlie Gibson interview, we knew that because Federal Judge John Dowd, the FBI handwriting expert, the FBI voice recognition expert, the IRS, Major League Baseball investigator Bart Giamatti, his office, Assistant Commissioner Fay Vincent, they weren't all conspiring against Pete Rose. Right. They had him, and when they presented it to him, and I don't know if a confession in August of '89 could have saved him, but it made it worse. The 14, 15-year really, campaign, he made that, they're all against me and I'm telling the truth, and then, no, in fact, they are all telling the truth, and I'm trying to sell a book. That's how it came off there, and you asked me, I told you.
And you're correct, and just to quote him, I have that interview actually pulled up. Charlie Hustle said, that was my mistake not coming clean a lot earlier.
Yeah, but still, incredible player, and I'll get to it in my not top story. And I don't mean just trying to be a wise guy. I really don't. I say this with respect for my number one sport, the sport I love the most. You don't have to worry about the lifetime ban anymore.
That is true.
That's over.
It is. You're right. And it was definitely sad news seeing that last night. I just got a text from John Harden that says Hardenwood uses a lot of TMZ stories. Yes, no, I'm aware of that.
I would have never guessed that.
That kind of goes
I thought John was going nothing but with Reuters.
That's right.
Associated Press.
No, Brett, that goes back to my questioning sometimes the authenticity of some of the stories, because some of the things I hear just...
I mean, only the staid and proper, NPR, PBS. I never would have thought John got anything from TMZ. Brett, I know you are a person that does not fib.
That's right.
I don't think John sent you that. I think you're making that up about John.
He 100% did. He 100% did. So, yes, maybe the least surprising thing of the day that Hardenwood uses a lot of TMZ stories. But
they nail it.
They do. They get the stories. They sure do. We got two Major League Baseball games going on right now. Speaking of baseball, right now the Detroit Tigers up 3-0, middle of the sixth against the Astros. It's been a handful of singles for Detroit to get
it has been started. A bushel basket of singles, hasn't it?
It sure
you
has.
Win a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and hard hit singles too. I mean, some of those you could hear them off the
right back through the box.
Oh yeah, and so the Tigers look good right now. They've got the best pitcher in baseball right now, Turk Skubal, on the mound. 4 strikeouts, 3 hits given up in 5 innings. So we'll see what the Tigers can do if the Astros can maybe come back. And just started KC and Baltimore. They are middle of first now, all knotted up 0-0. That game on ESPN2 right now. Tigers, Astros on ABC. So we got some good baseball going on. 2 more games tonight after everything that happened yesterday with that doubleheader. The Mets are in Milwaukee to play the Brewers. The Braves are in San Diego to play the Padres. Mets Brewers will start at about 4:30 on ESPN, and then Braves Padres will start about 7:30.
All right, real quick, Connor's already weighed in. He has Milwaukee and San Diego. I have Milwaukee and San Diego. Bryant, your picks.
I'm going to take Milwaukee and Atlanta. How about that?
Whoa. Darian.
Mets San Diego. Yep. John Harden talked me into it earlier today.
Mets San Diego.
Yeah,
Okay.
the fighting Francisco Lindors.
You know, the Mets are a Lindor away from being a bad team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But they got him for now.
They sure do have him. You take Lindor off that team,
Yeah.
I got questions. But with Lindor on that team, they are a very
And John
very
Harden
good
didn't
team.
give me an answer. I asked him a tough one. Who would you take right now at the top of the order, Soto or Lindor?
At the top of the order?
I think I take Lindor right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Both can hurt you equally, though.
Oh, sure can.
Absolutely.
Blow your house up
It's a good question.
right out of the gate.
I'll take either. Just flip a coin, and I'll take whichever one it lands on. But now we got a ton to get into, so let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Tom Ackerman from KMOX will join us to talk the St. Louis Cardinals. They had a big press conference yesterday in St. Louis to kind of start the conversation about the future of this organization. So we'll get his thoughts on everything he heard yesterday, his thoughts of what this offseason could look like for the Cardinals. We'll also get his thoughts on the playoffs with the wild card getting kicked off today.
Might get a Mizzou football question.
That's right.
With it.
Yeah, might have to talk some Mizzou. I will try to bite my tongue and not talk about a missed field goal away from maybe a game happening against Vanderbilt. I don't know. I mean, Vanderbilt was in that. Let's anchor down now. But I will not ask any pointed Vanderbilt questions when we talk Missouri. 3:45, we'll get into the Grizzlies as they start training camp this afternoon. I've seen some pictures of guys getting shots up, so it's starting to feel like Grizzly season, that first preseason game a week from yesterday. So it's getting close. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News down in Jacksonville will join us to talk some college football. A lot to get into with Brent. 4:30, we'll talk about what we know now that we didn't know before the weekend in college football and the NFL. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant will join us to talk the NFL. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's the world's biggest spa sale going on right now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spa starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. Special financing, it's available. And don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools too, and all patio furniture. It's priced to move. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Our producer is Darian Newsom. We're Bryant and Brett, and we are Sportstime, and we're with you until 6 o'clock, and we want you to be a big part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on that same number, 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin. Guest line, as Bryant said, we're always in our Family Leisure Studios. In this first hour, always brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all the remaining 2024 models and all those new 2025s that are rolling in. And, of course, always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but they want you to stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 24 or 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day has got to be Monday Night Football. 2 games last night, 2 very different games. One was a lot of fun to watch.
One looked like a UFL game.
I was about to say, one was really fun to watch, Brett. The other was a little painful to watch, if I'm being completely honest. The painful one was the Titans and the Dolphins. And let's just be honest, the Dolphins are not very good with Tua not at quarterback. I think Tua has shown a lot of what he brings to the team since he's been out. Skylar Thompson was not good last week. Huntley was not good last night, and they are really struggling offensively without their starting quarterback in there. On the other side, we thought we were going to get a game out of Will Levis. He throws an interception on his first drive, then he gets injured, and the Titans turn to Mason Rudolph. I thought Mason Rudolph did a fine job back there, really managed the game. They didn't ask him to do a lot with his arm. The game turned into just hand the ball off and we're going to run the ball a lot, and they did that with Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Both those guys got in the end zone for a touchdown. I thought both those guys looked good, and ultimately the Titans get their first win of the season on Monday night against the Dolphins. I think that's enough said on that game, because the other game was a lot of fun to watch. Jared Goff was incredible last night. 18 of 18 for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he caught a touchdown pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Detroit's offense looks really, really good right now. It looks like one of the best offenses in the NFL, but there are still questions on the defensive side of the ball, even after the 42-29 win over the Seahawks. Seattle finished with 516 yards of total offense. Geno Smith had a career high in passing yards and completions, and Kenneth Walker, who went to school at Arlington and was back from injury. His first
Arlington Tiger.
That's right. His first game back from injury, he did not get into the end zone just once, not just twice, 3 touchdowns last night for Kenneth Walker. So I think this Lions team is scary. There's definitely some questions. And now I just saw breaking news. Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams has officially requested a trade. That's according to Ian Rappaport. So definitely a lot of NFL news today.
He's headed to the Cowboys. Get ready for it, Brian.
Oh, okay. I'll buy a jersey if he goes to the Cowboys.
Get ready. No question about it. My top story, Gonzaga took the Pack deal that wasn't good enough for Memphis. I'm not questioning whether I think it was right if the money wasn't sufficient. I know it was, but I'm sure glad that Gonzaga is finally out of that bogus conference they played in, and I think that conference has held them back for a couple of times from winning it all. You can't front load and play that tough November-December schedule that they always play, and then go into cruise in January and February.
Right.
You get ready for the NCAA tournament really from about the Super Bowl on. All that early stuff, and then a slop conference does not prepare you, and you got to get ready for the NCAA tournament late February, early March, not late November, early December.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Sound eerily like the Tigers. Eerily.
You're right about that. I saw this note earlier from Kevin Sweeney just speaking on Gonzaga. He said, my favorite stat on Gonzaga going to the Pac-12, 6 new Pac-12 members, Boise, Colorado State, Gonzaga, San Diego State, Washington State, and Utah State, all got at-large bids to the NCAA tournament in 2024. The last time the old Pac-12 got more than 5 bids, 2016. So this is looking like a really good conference for basketball.
You mentioned our good friend Kevin Sweeney. He starts his regular 5 o'clock on Wednesday appearances with us 4 weeks from tomorrow.
Whoa. How about
October
that?
30.
Man, that could have been my big number today.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's got to be the wild card starting today. We already have 2 games off and rolling. The Tigers, they're up 3-0 right now over the Astros, as it looks like that one just, the 6th inning just ended, so we'll go to the 7th inning with the Tigers up 3-0. Trick Scuba already mentioned it. He has looked really good today. 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, 4 hits allowed for him. On the other side, Framber Valdez gave up 3 runs on 7 hits in 4 1/3 inning. They've now gone to the bullpen a couple of times to try to keep the Tigers off the board, but offensively against Turk Skubal, they have not been able to get anything going. The other game that has just started, they're in the top of the 2nd inning, Royals and Orioles, 0-0 right now in that one. That's going to be a really fun series to keep an eye on. And then the 2 we got tonight, I'm really excited for, Mets and Brewers, Braves at Padres. I think all of these wild card games are going to be really, really fun, because I think a lot of these series, I think it can be anybody's game.
My not top story, there's a lot of history revision going on today, and I think it's mostly out of emotion and mostly because of the right after the news of the death of Pete Rose. He was one of the top 2 or 3 switch hitters of all time. He was second base rookie of the year in 1963, great left fielder, great third baseman, really good right fielder, really good first baseman, great teammate, 1 speed, but he willfully, with legal counsel signing off on it, he agreed to the lifetime ban. He was not coerced. Who thinks for a second Pete Rose was intimidated by anybody? Bart Giamatti is not the bad guy in this. And now, sadly, yes, Pete Rose should go into Cooperstown.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I've seen a lot of people, not a lot of people, a couple of people make that same point.
Now, his family, they reserved the right to say, Joe, to Cooperstown, y'all stick it.
Absolutely, and we'll see if we do get to that point. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break, and when we return, we're talking some St. Louis Cardinals with Tom Ackerman.
Sports Talk, Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes you just want to make it fast, like the fun that comes from a quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This naked-style streetlight sports a narrow 471cc twin, along with a sleek TFT display, dual-disc front brakes, and standard ABS, all at an affordable price. Find fun in all the right places in the 2024 Honda CB500F. Available at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Woodman Road in Olive Branch.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah.
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli, it's wholesome food and no surprises.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Red Star Sports Movie and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We've got we're trying to get a hold of Tom Ackerman, talk some Cardinals, and also Major League Baseball playoffs getting started today. So we'll try to get a hold of him. But while we wait for that, talk about these 4 games that we have today. Mentioned it earlier. 2 games going on right now over on ABC. Tigers up 3-0 in the top of the 7th. On ESPN2 currently, Royals and Orioles. Got 2 more games later tonight. But I think going to be a fun first day of wild card baseball, Brett.
Royals and Orioles getting going. Tigers and Astros in the top of the 7th. And the over and unders reflect this is October.
Yes, it definitely does. I mean, you're seeing some totals earlier this morning for that Tigers Astros game at 6.5, which is
what did he go off at? Around that?
Around that. I was looking at it right before first pitch, and it was around that. ESPN is saying it went off at 6.5. So, yeah, so right there, that's a shocking number anytime for baseball. But certainly that says playoff baseball. It's going to be a lot of pitching.
And this is the edge you're playing on. Astros at home. They're going to be at home for Game 2. They're going to be at home for a potential Game 3. If they lose today, they got to win both of those to advance.
That's right. I mean, you're behind the 8 ball if you lose today. Now, you still have home field advantage, so that definitely helps. And I think the Astros have good pitching, but it's just hard. And I mentioned it yesterday when we made our picks. You feel really good, and still a lot of baseball left to play in this one. They're only in the top of the 7th. Anything can happen, but you almost feel like you're starting behind any time Trick Skubal is on the mound against you because he is that good.
Do we have a pitching matchup probabilities for tomorrow? Who's Detroit run out there tomorrow?
I haven't seen anything. I was looking earlier, and it looked like who was the only team? I think the Padres were the only team that had a pitcher announced for tomorrow.
The Royals have announced Lugo.
Yes.
And the Mets have announced Manaea, and both pitchers set for tomorrow night.
How about
Braves,
that?
Padres,
Wow.
Fried and Musgrove.
Wow. So all of that was not set earlier this morning when I was looking at it.
It took a while for the Braves to announce today.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at about 11, and they still hadn't announced anything. And so, I guess around lunchtime they put it out there. But I get a lot of decisions to be made for the Braves because right now they don't have a lot of arms available.
towel-waving time of year at Major League Baseball stadiums, isn't it?
No, it absolutely is, and it's fun to see these environments and see everybody obviously excited for Major League Baseball, and I think we're going to get some really fun games today.
We were going to. It looks like we're not going to catch up with Tom Ackerman. It's rare for him to get out of sorts, but we hadn't been able to. But yesterday, the Cardinals, with the big end of the season press conference where the succession plan was announced going forward for John Mozeliak to step aside after next year and Chaim Bloom take over. And he's been around in an advisory role most all of this year. I think he was hired in January, and he is whiz kid, Yale grad, and got the chops with both the Rays and with the Red Sox. And anybody really coming out of either of those buildings, that's been the magic. That has filled a lot of front offices in Major League Baseball. It was announced yesterday and even a few days before that Oliver Marmol will be the field manager again next year. And I think we got Tom Ackerman now, and we'll get his opinion on all this because he was there in the room and knows it much better than we do.
Yeah, so we got Tom Ackerman with us now from KMOX in St. Louis. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. We were just kind of discussing it a little bit, but a big press conference yesterday in St. Louis for the Cardinals, kind of talking about what the future will look like for this Cardinals team. What were your takeaways from what you heard yesterday?
Yeah, guys, and thanks for your patience. Sorry for my delay.
Good, man.
I had a lot of thoughts from that. A lot of things. First of all, I am excited about Chaim Bloom. When I leaving that press conference, when it was over, leaving the broadcast from it, I should say, because physically I was not there. And I probably would have asked a couple of questions. But then again, my other impression was that it did not last long enough. I thought it was kind of a short presser, considering the moment in time and the importance of it to Cardinals history. I think this was a big, big moment in Cardinals history, a transition that I have not witnessed in my 27 years of covering the club, where they said we are going to take a step back from being a contender. What I felt like should have happened and did not was much more of an emphasis should have been placed on Chaim Bloom in the future and what they're actually doing. I mean, you actually witnessed the transition of power right in front of you. Even though John Mozeliak's under contract for one more year, it's still done. I mean, they gave a 5-year deal to Chaim Bloom. They were going to give him the keys to the Ferrari, the one that has not been running very well in the garage, and he's going to have to fix it. And I think that, it's going to actually be a really good thing. I mean, Chaim Bloom is number one on the list when you think of people who know how to create a system of prospects and player development, draft develop, minor league system, and get the best bang for your buck. I mean, nobody did that better than the Tampa Bay Rays. Nobody, and they're still doing it. And he created it. He made the playbook for it. So the Cardinals have really lacked in that area for a decade now, if they're being honest with themselves. They let that go. They thought they had it handled. They didn't. They patched up their team with free agents where they thought they could fix, and it didn't work. And so I thought that was a big thing. We might get hung up on John Mozeliak was there and is still in power. Bill DeWitt Jr. talked about 83 wins. Should be an exciting thing moving forward for this team. We all know that's not true, but he's not going to change his tune. He's always been somebody who's tried to stay positive, like, we're the Cardinals, everything's going to be okay. It's not okay. I felt like Chaim Bloom was the whole reason why they had the press conference. In fact, it was John Mozeliak who wanted him, and he called Bill DeWitt, and DeWitt said, I'm glad you mentioned him because I want him too. They're the ones who got him. So for me, actually, I'd like to see him be pushed up front a little bit more to answer more questions, to be more of a face of the future of the organization.
He can handle it, Tom. And I texted you during it. You were in the room yesterday, and Bryant can attest. For years, about any team, I said, somebody in baseball, just go down to Tampa and hire the entire stinking office at what Tampa Bay is doing, and then get them to a place that has commitment, that has budget, and let them work. I jokingly mean, I don't want to cost anybody their job, but Tom, I've said, hire down to the secretaries, hire down to the interns, get everybody from Tampa to your team, and I think you'd win, and the Cardinals are kind of doing this. All right, tell me this. How long, as a Cardinal fan, should I pack my patience?
Well, so we had this discussion today, a bunch of us did, on our KMOX social media, and you can watch it if you want. We did about 45 minutes, me, Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley. And one of the things we all walked away from is it depends. It depends on when the Cardinals say they're reducing payroll, which they did yesterday, we don't know how much that is. I mean, is that 10, 20, 50 million? I mean, how much are we talking here? Because money's coming off the books already. And the question is, are they going to keep some of their high-priced players? Are they going to trade for more prospects? So we don't know the answer to that question. I can tell you that if Chaim Bloom is running a minor league system, that will take him 2, maybe 3 years to get that thing rolling, and it's going to be a machine. Now, between now and then, you're going to have to put up with the Cardinals are not going to be a giant. They're not going to go out and sign Juan Soto, all right? They're not going to go, any of that past where the Cardinals maybe are a player for X. That's not happening. However, the pathways to success for some of these young stars will be there, and if they hang on to Arenado Contreras, I'm not so sure about Sonny Gray. I love Sonny Gray, but he's not going to necessarily push tickets, and he appears every fifth day. I mean, if it's possible to get something for him, Paul Goldschmidt's going to be a free agent, for example. Like I don't know. I love Paul Goldschmidt, but I don't know that that's the best person to have around right now. If this is the movement you're trying to make, you probably need to let him go elsewhere, find a contender, and turn the first base job over to Alec Burleson and Luka Baker. This is an interesting situation they're in, because if you actually look at the team, they next year could be every bit as good as an 83-win team, maybe 85. I don't know if they could push it to 90, but I don't see a terrible team coming back next year unless they just sell off all the pieces. I mean, most of the positions are already filled. The only thing about it is that the team, the rotation is the tell here. That's the number one example of what was wrong with this franchise over the last 10 years, even 5 years, is that their entire starting rotation was free agent patches, all of them. Miles Michaelis in 2018, you go right down the line. Steven Matz a few years after that, and then the 3 this year, Gray, Lynn, and Gibson. Those are all free agent patches. They got all those guys to patch a hole. None of them were homegrown. Andre Palante, I would assume, is going to join the rotation next year. There's 1. Michael McGreevy, there's 2. Maybe even Quinn Matthews, who's been unbelievable. Maybe that's 3 if he is able to rocket up to the majors at some point. And there could be more. And if you add a pitcher or 2, a young control, you got Eric Fetty coming back. Like, it's not horrible. I'd be curious, though. Ryan Helsley will never have higher trade value in his life. He's eligible for 1 more year of arbitration. It's going to be a big payday. Would you trade Ryan Helsley for a load of prospects right now and then turn the closer job over to one of your young guns?
My answer is yes.
What I'm telling you is, I don't know that they're going to be a losing franchise. It just depends on what your expectations are. I will tell you what they will be. They will be a team with young players given an opportunity to thrive, and they'll be playing in a division that currently is owned by the Milwaukee Brewers. It remains to be seen what they will do and what the Cubs will do and what the Reds, for that matter, will do. And I guess you could throw the Pirates in there in the offseason, whether they'd be able to compete for a division title. I doubt it. I think that they're more likely going to be considered to be taking a step back and focusing more on 26, 27 moving forward. But, I still need to see what they're talking about when they say that payroll takes a step back. Does that mean they're going to drastically reduce it? Does it mean they're going to stay flat and just not spend anymore? That's a big question that I can't answer right now.
Tom, you mentioned the reports, rumors that the Cardinals would be willing to deal Sonny Gray for the right offer. How many guys on this roster do you think they would be open to trading?
Well, I mentioned a couple of them. So Helsley, Wilson Contreras is a curious case because they have 3 catchers in line to take his spot. Pedro Pajes has been very good. Ivan Herrera has been very good at the plate and is still working on being a great catcher, and I think he's made some strides, but he needs more guidance and seasoning and instruction. And then they have a real good one coming in Jimmy Crooks, who was the Texas League MVP. So, does Contreras is this an opportunity for them to deal Contreras? And by the way, some of these players have no trade, protection. So, I wonder where that all stands. And then, of course, there's the giant name in that lineup is Nolan Arenado. And so they're going to have to talk to him and decide what he thinks about his future and what's best for them. I don't know what his value is out there. I'm sure that somebody would love to have a future Hall of Fame third baseman whose offensive skills have declined, but is still a, billboard-type player for your franchise. It's just a matter of how much can they stomach losing. But there's no doubt that they have enough big names in their lineup and on their roster that they could get an absolute haul of prospects and draft picks if they wanted to. But your 2025 team is going to suffer in the standings. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of what you're willing to do. I do not see this as a complete tank job teardown. The Cardinals just aren't built that way, but they're definitely resetting the front office. Whether they're pressing the reset button on their entire roster, I just don't know. But those would be the names, I guess. I'm trying to think of anybody else. But, Gray, they have, as I said, Fetty coming back. They have some young pitchers that they'd like to look at. Gray is extremely valuable by what he does every fifth day and also as a mentor. But he's costly. I mean, he's going to make
$35 million in that years.
$30 million.
Yeah.
So, you really got to decide what you're doing here if you're the Cardinals from that standpoint.
Tom Ackerman, our guest, he is the voice of St. Louis at the Sports Voice for the Midwest, KMOX, the home of the Cardinals. When you ask the expectations, mine, that might be a little lofty every year, but I want to hit you rapid fire with a couple of things. Give me your World Series picks and give me how Mizzou's football season ends.
I'm going to go – it's hard not to pick Yankees-Dodgers. I mean, I just feel like baseball is heading in that direction. Those are the 2 big ones out there. I think the Phillies are great. I think the Guardians actually might be the best team in the American League. But something tells me that this might finally be the Yankees' year to get there. They haven't been. It's amazing. They haven't been to the World Series in 15 years. I mean, I know you know this, but just in case any of our listeners don't, they haven't been to the World Series since 2009. That's just unbelievable. I feel like it's just a matter of time before they get there, and it's hard to pick against the Dodgers at this point. They just have everything, and they have the best player in the world. I'll be fascinated to see a potential Padres-Dodgers matchup, and my old friend Mike Schilt trying to go win a World Series with a very talented and fiery San Diego team. But I'll pick the Dodgers out of the National League, and I think that's fun. If I were to pick a champ, I'm going to go Yankees, actually. I think, they've got some superstars. I think they'd have the city on their side. I think it'd be a very difficult place for a team to go in and win. And, as long as Aaron Judge is feeling good, there's something about that team I like. They'd be the underdog, which it would be fun. But that would be a World Series that maybe some people would hate. But I think for baseball, it probably is what they need if they want to pull in the casual fan. I think everybody would watch that. Ohtani against Judge and Soto. On the other side of things, for Mizzou football, real quick, they got to win this game at A&M, and they need to win it decisively, I think, to get people on their side again, because that was a very, very rough one against Vanderbilt. They won it in double overtime, but they got through it. Got a bye week now to get healthy and get ready. They have to get the ball in Luther Burden's hands. He's the best player on the field, pretty much anybody they play, except Alabama, who has apparently 2 or 3 Luther Burdens right now. But the Missouri team's good. I think they lose at Alabama, But when I look at the rest of their schedule, I don't see a lot. I mean, if they could get through the A&M game on the road, they play Auburn at home, they play Oklahoma at home, they've got Arkansas on the schedule. It's not a killer schedule. I mean, they've got a chance to do some serious damage, but I'm concerned about this game. And this is, A&M already had a headliner game at home against Notre Dame and lost it. You don't go in there and win very often. I don't care where they're ranked. So, Missouri's ranked 9th in the country. I think the best case scenario is that they do enough to get into the playoff and roll the dice. They're not one of the top teams in the country, but they are a legit top 10, top 15 team right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, Tom, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Anytime, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom Ackerman joining us from KMOX to talk some Cardinals, a little playoff baseball, and a little Mizzou football as well. Let's go ahead and get to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Grizzlies and what's going on at training camp. That's next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks get always squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Then Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dine in and buy 12 wings, get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekends. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, fall is football.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack Snoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you as we've got a couple minutes left in this first hour of today's show. We got to talk about the Grizzlies and training camp, and we do have some big news out of the first day of
Grizzlies. Don't do me like this.
Matt Infield, who usually joins us on Tuesday, but he is at training camp right now with
He's got his real job this week.
Yes, that's correct. He tweeted out...
No tomfoolery with us.
No, unfortunately. We'll get back to that next week.
Yeah, plenty of time for tomfoolery next week.
He tweeted out, breaking, Taylor Jenkins says Jaren Jackson Jr. had his hamstring flare up on a drive to the basket at the first training camp practice today. Imaging is coming, but he says they believe it's a strain. Update coming at some point soon. So there it is, another injury to the Grizzlies before they've even stepped on the court. First, it was Gigi about a month ago at this point, I guess. I guess less than a month ago. It was probably about a month ago. Second was just recently with Vince. And now one of your big men, Jaren, with an injury. Not great.
Can't take it.
No, I mean, I thought we left all of this last year.
And this is no shot. This is no shot at all. I mean this, and the Grizzlies are great to me. I don't mean this ugly at all. But this is what scares me is they've been so coy and rope-a-dope with injuries through the years. It makes me jump to, he's out till Christmas.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a wrong reaction because, like you said,
I don't want to be critical,
no,
but
I mean
that's where you kind of lose the room in not shooting us straight and more rather than less.
Yeah, no, you're right, and
that's everybody in sports on injury.
Sure, but Grizzlies have been burned by that in the past. I mean, last year it was Steven Adams where he hasn't played. Everything seems good. Okay, there's a setback, but everything being reported about and put out by the Grizzlies is that it's just a minor setback. And then the couple days before the season's supposed to start, we get the bomb dropping that he's out for the season. I mean, it's hard to go from just a minor setback, he'll be fine, to
they're almost advancing hangnail, and then we metaphorically speaking, we got a severed leg.
Exactly. So no, I think everybody kind of holds their breath and kind of waits whenever you see something like this because I think
and they've created it. They can change that. Start with this. Start with daily more updates. Well, no, we're not asking to see imaging. We're not asking to see medical records. That's none of our business. But you can tell us more and allay these fears. Give us comfort.
Yeah. No, you're right. And so, because I think...
And especially at ticket selling time.
Sure. And I think, it's a good point because I think, if this was... starting power forward for the Atlanta Hawks, I think, you see, hamstring strain, you go, okay, he might be out for a couple weeks, but cool. But
we got a pattern.
With the pattern and the history and what happened last year, I think for the Grizzlies, it's, oh no, let's hold our breath and make sure everything's okay. But we need to go ahead and wrap up this hour. Quick update on both Major League Baseball games going on right now. Tigers up 3-0 in the top of the 8th inning, so only a handful of at-bats left for the Astros today if they want to win Game 1. Then KC and Baltimore, they're still knotted up 0-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Been a pitcher's duel so far. So we'll keep you updated on everything going on with the wild card in Major League Baseball. Let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking a whole lot of college football with Brent Beard.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
This is Lauren Choate, Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators. Right now, we're offering our Choate's Comfort and Safety Special. For a limited time, when you purchase a $99 tune-up, or if Choate's performs a repair, you'll receive a free 1-year standard fan plan membership at $400 value. Keep your home safe, comfortable, and running smoothly all year long with 2 maintenance visits, priority service, and discounts on future repairs. And for our existing loyal fan plan members, we have some something special just for you. Enjoy a $1,000 loyalty coupon toward any new generator, tankless water heater, or HVAC system. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us with your home. Add value, add comfort, and add safety to your home with Choates. Call us today at 347-8086 or visit ChoatesHVAC.com. Choates, let our family serve your family.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in town Memphis.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We're watching traffic increase in the last 15-20 minutes in certain sections of the Midtown area, but it's still moving on 240 South all the way down to Norris as you come out of the Midtown area. Not too bad right now through 240 getting onto 385 Bill Morris Parkway going outbound. There was a little bit of radar earlier out there around Chambers Chapel, Canada Road on I-40, especially going eastbound headed back towards Fayette County. Weimer's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for well over 40 years, no matter what the occasion is. Stop by and see them first. You'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Sports 56. Trust. Here once again are Brett Morsworthy and Bryant Dakin.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our 4 o'clock hour on this Tuesday afternoon. Brought to you every day by Wilson's Pro Wash. Quick update on the baseball. Tigers up 3-0, bottom of the 8th. Right now, Kansas City and Baltimore still 0-0, top of the 5th. But we got to talk a whole lot of college football, so let's go ahead and get to Brent Beard.
College football talk every Tuesday with Brent Beard, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X at Brent Beard. SEC, ACC, AAC. We talk it all with Brent. Here's Brent Beard with Bryant and Brett.
Brent Beard joins us now from First Coast News in Jacksonville to talk some college football. Brent, thanks so much for joining us. I got to start with the big one, Saturday night, Alabama and Georgia. Just such a fun game to watch as Alabama goes up big. Then here comes Georgia late in the game. They go back and forth. Georgia scores to go up. Alabama drives right back down to take the lead again and ultimately win the game. How big of a win was that, though, for Kalen DeBoer in his first year at Alabama?
Well, it was huge. I mean, anytime you beat one of the best teams in the nation, and you are impressive doing it, and I give Georgia a lot of credit for coming back. But the Alabama staff right now is really good, and I still say they're an upgrade compared to what they had last year. And that's not taking anything away from Nick Saban, but they're just particularly on the offensive side of the ball.
Right on, Brent.
They're just a lot of those plays would have never been done last year. I'm just telling you, help me, Brent. That score at halftime with the staff from last year would have been probably 14-7.
Well, you got the old Notre Dame quarterback or Grubbs. What would you prefer?
Yes. Precisely. I mean,
and Coach Saban down the stretch was not helped by staffing.
No, he was not. And
he deserved better.
He did, and I think he tried to get it. But the problem, and look, I give him a lot of credit for this. Once we have some time to think about this, he could have stayed. He could have been dogmatic. Another coach 2 or 3 more years, and he would have continued to have not gotten the staff that he wanted. And that's frankly one of the reasons they left, where these guys said, look, Coach, I really want to guarantee that you could be there another 2 or 3 years, and he was unable to give them that. So in hindsight, for Saban, it was really a very mature decision, because it was the best thing he could do for Alabama.
Well, let's just go over it. Last year, somebody pushed, and I'm sure it was the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach, instead of starting Jalen Milroe, you started Tyler Faulkner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
History does not receive that well.
No. I mean, that will go down in infamy, frankly. But
he went to the lacrosse fields after.
He did. Yes, he did. Yeah, that's very true.
And good luck to him.
Yes.
Sure did. Transferred back to Notre Dame to play lacrosse. Powerhouse Notre Dame is in lacrosse.
Right. Take that, NIL.
That's right.
Yeah. Brent, with the weekend's games, what surprised you more? The Bama out to 28-0 at 1.37, have to come back and win that game, or the Kentucky upset in Oxford?
Oh, I would say after last year, particularly at the beginning of the season, it would have probably been, to me, both. It's a good question because they're both close. But I'll give a shaky nod to the Alabama offense in the first half. I mean, they actually got too conservative in the second half, and it nearly cost them dearly. But I don't think. I mean, when you go back and look at last year, there's no way in the world you would have seen that kind of motion, that kind of versatility, and also Milroe being that sharp in the game too. But look, that's not taking anything away from the Kentucky win. My Lord, you think about if Kentucky had beaten Georgia and also beat Ole Miss, how would people be looking at Kentucky today?
Yeah, and what's the real Kentucky? The one that didn't have the pulse against South Carolina, or those other two games? We'll see after open date. We'll see. What did Saturday say more about in those two games? More about DeBoer or Kirby? More about Lane or Mark Stoops?
I would say DeBoer and Stoops, frankly. I mean, Stoops, to his credit, just kind of does what he does, and they're who they are, and that it doesn't always work, but but what you get out of them is tough, hard-nosed line of scrimmage, being able to run, and just being able to stick to that. And now look, if I will say they played 10 times.
Oh, be careful, Coach Freeze.
Yeah. But well, I think if they did, Ole Miss will win most of them. I
can't do that to Kentucky, Brent. I can't do it.
Yeah.
They played once and they took it right to them as a 16-point road dog.
Yeah. Well, and that's certainly not taking anything away from Kentucky. I mean, the pass. Look, that 63-yard pass from Vandegrift to Berrien Brown.
Set of stones.
On fourth down. I mean, you get a statue for that if you're Mark Stoops alone.
You should, and I think there was a big welcoming back home Saturday afternoon, Saturday night when they got back to the football complex at Lexington, and they should have, because just to go for it, and then I thought it was going to be something run-pass option for Vandegrift. Man, he got planted on that back foot and let it heave, didn't he?
He did, and that's just something we and look, and probably in fairness to Ole Miss, I mean, how many times have we seen him do that? We certainly didn't see him do it at Georgia, and he's just now kind of getting going at Kentucky. So it may have been his best throw. It probably was in his college career.
I think the Ole Miss secondary was playing to protect against something RPO from him, and never dreaming. They're going to throw the go.
That's just not a play that you expect out of them. You didn't see a whole lot of that at all against Georgia. They, they played close to the vest, and they played to their strength, and played to who they are. So them coming out of that a little bit would take anybody by surprise.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Talking to Brent Beard, he joins us every single Tuesday from First Coast News in Jacksonville. You mentioned Hugh Freeze. He said last week if they played Arkansas 9 more times, they'd beat them 9 out of 9 times. Then this weekend they play Oklahoma. They're up 14-7 at the half, and then they give up 17 points in the fourth quarter and end up losing that game 27-21. How bad are things at Auburn right now, and how do you view this Auburn team going into the rest of their SEC slate?
Oh, they'll be fortunate if they break 500 at this point. I mean, they've got probably they're certainly not going to beat Georgia, not going to beat Missouri. So, I mean, they've got 2, if not 3 losses coming. And again, I hope somebody is able to get this point across to their administration. Is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen was to have, and Bryant, we all said this at the beginning of the year and in the preseason. There's no way in the world you need to have 5 games at home and have 0 games at home in October. I mean that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
And particularly now to lose 3 of them is particularly embarrassing. They're really struggling as far as turnovers are concerned, 2-6 in their last 8 games. So it's a. At some point, Hugh almost needs to quit talking, particularly about the quarterback situation. I am amazed they lead the nation in pass plays at 40+ and 50+ yards with 9-6. But this is a team that, despite their defense probably playing rather well and having one of the best running backs in the league that is seldom used in Jarquez Hunter, there are just a lot of mystifying decisions going on at Auburn.
Brent, I promise you I didn't mean to set you up today in a bunch of who needs it more, what did it mean more to, but I'm getting ready to ask another one. This weekend, who needs it more, Ole Miss at Columbia against South Carolina or Arkansas at home against Tennessee? And not just more for this week, but more for in 6 weeks and in 8 weeks and maybe 8 months.
I'll say Arkansas needs it more. I think Ole Miss will right the ship, and Ole Miss will be okay. But look. No one's about to fire Lane. The reality in Arkansas is they need all the wins they can get.
They can't take much more heartbreak.
No, they really
Whether
can't.
narrowly losing or getting blasted, I mean, enough's enough.
Yeah, it is. Now, look, I give them credit, though, Brent. They are, I think they're very improved.
I do, too.
But what's going to happen, but no one's going to say they're ultimately improved until they start winning some of these games that they're losing in the last few minutes.
Yeah, that darn record book and scoreboard, that's who you are.
Yes. Yeah. And look, if it's right now or if it's 10 years from now, that score doesn't change. That's the problem.
I do think Arkansas is and boy, this is small comfort, the best 3-2 team in the country, and I think A&M's the worst 4-1 team in the country.
That's really humorous, frankly. But look, I mean, Arkansas, Taylor Green is playing pretty well. He's not great, but he's better than what some people thought. Isaac Tesla has done well.
Has the tight ends got to get a little more?
He does, and their running back, I think, is one of the
Jackson's
better
fine
in the league. Frankly, he didn't do much against A&M. I do give A&M some credit for what they did. I think their backup quarterback, if you want to put it that way, has done fine. But I would say Arkansas needs it more because they just need to keep winning. That there's just not a lot of a margin of error right now for Arkansas, is it?
No. There is absolutely not. Brent, when you look at this Clemson team, they're now 3-1 after their win over Stanford, a 40-14 win over Stanford. A lot of people talked about them early in the season. They took the loss to Georgia in week 1, but they have not lost a game since then. How good is Dabo's team this year?
I think they're certainly better. I think we thought in the offseason that they would be improved eventually, that Cade Klubnik would kind of get things together sooner or later. I mean, they're averaging 42 a game now. When you think about how they did in the opening of the season, defensively, you don't quite see the numbers that I thought we might see here. But oh my! This is the last team FSU needs.
Oh man,
to see right now.
No
and guys, I'm just telling you. I know you probably didn't get because you were all covering games or watching something else, but that was just a putrid performance for FSU against SMU.
Pony up.
SMU basically ran them off the field. But the thing that really is intolerable here is the fact that, I mean, they've got guys in the secondary who aren't even trying to tackle people.
The checkout factor's big.
There's no question about that. And look, I like Mike Norvell. I don't think there's a lot of heat on him after last year.
Shouldn't be.
You get a lot of equity from that. My Lord, if you go undefeated and win your conference, it doesn't really matter. The mistake there was DJ Uiagalelei just giving them a little of nothing. And now, if people haven't heard this, he is supposed to have a broken finger, maybe out even for the rest of the year. Look, I'm sorry for him, but the reality is they've got to find another quarterback for next year, guys. And the sooner they can start on that, the better. It's just rough. They got to do it against Clemson.
It's over for this year for the Seminoles. Now, we're going to see a lot of this with the NIL and heavy collective influence, portal, et cetera. How quickly can you reboot after you had that great year last year, got a tough break at the end? I thought FSU should have been in. I said as the bids were going out on live radio with a friend of mine in Little Rock that Sunday morning. I said it on Monday afternoon here. They didn't. But at some point you got to quit whining about it. I know it was a shot right to the chops. I know that. But you got to move on from it. Now you have this year. how quickly can you get back into old form? It's going to be fun watching this with these players that have a lot of agendas.
There's no doubt. I agree with that. And they've got a target in the off season because they open 2025 at home with the new stadium against Alabama. So.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's right.
I knew the stadium. I didn't know it was Bama.
Oh yeah. They open the season with Bama at home.
Well, get the easy ones out of the way early, huh?
Yes,
yeah, sure. That's a really good question. At some point, what you want to see in them that we're not seeing right now is a lot of maturity, and it's just not there. I mean, they've got a defensive line everybody thought would be, good grief. ESPN said that they were the best defensive line in the nation. They've been one of the worst. And
highly paid.
No question. And the Uiagalelei situation didn't.
We're going to see it play out at Ole Miss. I mean, you let there be a loss this week, and then tell me the whole dynamic there. Brent, I have been fascinated by this college football season. It's all brand new world for all of us, and I'm loving it. TV ratings are showing it. Game day averaged 2.3 million over the course Saturday morning, largest September show since 2010. The last hour had 3 million viewers. Wow. Eyes on that. Ole Miss had 4 million. The afternoon game had 5. Saturday night had 10.5 million. All the others are doing well. College football is in a great spot, but I'm loving the reality TV show aspect of the Group of 5 bid, and not just the focus here with Memphis and some of that watered down after the Navy loss, but across the Group of 5, I'm liking that dynamic.
So am I. And look, one of the things to me that's exciting, and I hope people are paying some attention to this, or some of these teams early on. Now, all these aren't Group of 5, but to see Duke 5-0, Army and Navy particularly 4-0 and 4-0, Indiana 5-0, and BYU 5-0. We're seeing, to your point, not only a Group of 5, but we're seeing some of these other teams that are undefeated and making a real rebound. That to me makes this thing quite excited. Let me just mention this real quick before we go. Brian, Brett brought up a good point about FSU and how quickly you can do this. I'm just throwing this out here because I'm getting a little sense of this. If y'all are hearing this, let me know. I'm just wondering, and what I'm hearing more from some of these coaches is this: okay, we know that we can do a lot in the portal, but what we've got to not get away from is building our team through basic high school recruiting. And I'm just wondering out loud here, I don't have the answer to this yet, if at the end of the year we're going to hear more of that, because I can tell you guys, Florida State last year, they hit on about every one of those transfers, and this year, not so much.
Yeah.
And I get the quick fix type stuff, but guys, it doesn't always work, does it? So
it's fun winning those rankings and ratings in February and March and even into the summer with the portal, but then you want to see it translated into wins. Brent, I see where the Cooking and Eating show on the SEC network that I've never watched, they're going to feature something in Jasper, Alabama. If they're not at the Green Top, they're doing it wrong. Where else would they be in Jasper?
I'm more than curious about that. Brian, what we're talking about is that's my hometown where I was raised in Jasper.
Walker County's best.
Yeah, no question about it. With a proud census of between about 15 and 20,000. I'm going to be. That's a great point. I'm going to be very curious. Now, I haven't watched it either. Do they go to 2 or 3 places in every town, or do they just pick one and do that?
I couldn't tell you.
I would be very fascinated to see.
I lose it. I lose it when the guy with the little beard says home.
I'm going to gonna have to tune into this show.
I'm out after that. I'm gonna watch baseball. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and listen, as a Braves fan, for them to get in this thing,
incredible,
with all their issues, is
Big
probably
win.
that's about as close to a miracle as we could have seen.
Oh yeah,
enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. But and also as we go out here, UNLV, James Madison, Navy, Army, and Liberty. Brent, I'm with you. That's going to be a fascinating group to watch and kind of see where they're going over the next few weeks. Frankly, as much as it's going to be that first 11, it's going to be great to see who ends up with that 12.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Well, Brent, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Good. Can't wait, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you, Brent. Brent Beard with us every week from First Coast News down in Jacksonville talking college football. Brian, I saw a USA Today mock bracket. And look, I make plenty of mistakes. I don't know if the guy made the mistake or if this can happen.
Okay.
He had as his group of 5 UNLV, and that plays the weekend of December 20th. Then later in a bowl like December 28th, he had UNLV playing. Could that group of 5 team that lost early accept something later?
I highly doubt it. I can't say I know for sure, but
And it might have been a mistake, and I make them.
Sure,
a ton of them.
Yeah, I think that sounds like just a mistake to me. Of just kind of you got the list in front of you, you're going through.
Yeah.
It
happens.
You put a name out there that maybe you meant.
Then there's Dan Mullen's college football vote this week.
And
he had 2 teams listed.
Did he?
Yeah.
And they were
the same 2 teams listed.
Oh.
Had one at 17 and one at 22.
Well,
Let's put a little more thought in it, Dan. Come on.
Just a little thought.
It's not great. That's not great at all.
Hey, guys, I got a little housekeeping for you right before we go to break. Brett, I know you wanted to know the numbers of that Alabama versus Georgia. I have them for you if you like.
Please.
So it says that the average viewership was 12 million, and it peaked over just 14.1.
About
That's
that.
incredible. It's incredible. It's a good game for it. I mean, I'll tell you what.
It's a football world.
Yes, it absolutely is. Those are really good numbers. But before we get to a break, let me remind you of our 4 o'clock sponsor. That's Wilson's Pro Wash. They're with us every single afternoon in this hour. And do me a favor real quick. Picture your home beautifully clean and pristine. Does that seem impossible? Well, not when you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Their Gentle Touch Pro Wash will restore your house, fence, driveway, commercial building, and more to their very best. Wilson specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces from concrete to stone, brick to mortar, and even wood to vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal your surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Wilson's Pro Wash, clean is their mission. They'll wash away everything but your sins. So give them a call, 901-524-6799. That's 901-524-6799, or visit them online at wilsonsprowash.com. Well, Houston is making this interesting. Bottom of the 9th, their final at-bats. They have scored 1 run. They've got a man on 2nd and 3rd as Detroit has made a pitching change. Bo Brisky coming in for them out of the bullpen. And in Baltimore, Kansas City up 1-0 right now in the top of the 6th inning as they just drove in a run a couple minutes ago. So we'll keep you updated on all of the wild card action, but we need to get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about what we learned from the weekend in college football and the NFL.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated. And you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. We find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar in Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We're working with a couple of minor wrecks out here the last few minutes, trying its best to get busy in the Midtown area on 240 South as you come past Lamar, as it starts to pick up 40 west here at Danny Thomas, headed back across the Hernando de Soto Bridge over into West Memphis, going outbound Sam Cooper. So far, so good there as you work your way back onto the interstate. Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Pro Wash, your residential and commercial pressure washing service and control. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. We're about to talk about what we learned from the weekend in college football and the NFL. I mentioned it before we went to a break that the Astros are making a game out of this. They're down 3-1, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, and this just flashed on the screen on ESPN. Postseason since 1990, teams are 1 in 538 when trailing by 3 or more runs entering the ninth inning. The only win was the Cubs, who defeated the Giants in Game 4 of the 2016 NLDS, and now the Astros have an opportunity to join that club if they can make something happen here with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth.
What was that number again? 1 in what?
1 in
538?
530 something.
538.
No, that's not on my screen anymore.
Wow, that's like an early preview, a big number of the day.
1 in 538. Yeah, that I should have saved that, but I hope that it doesn't become 2 in 538.
That's why I asked, so I can let you know.
Yeah.
It's white knuckles in Houston,
I
isn't
hate
it?
the Astros. Oh, I hate the Astros so much.
I used to when they were the Killer Bees and all the buzzing in the stadium and big rivalry with the Cardinals. I don't anymore.
Yeah, I can't stand them.
I used to like the old Astrodome, Britt. Jeff Bagwell and those guys.
No.
I didn't mind the Astrodome. My first baseball game I attended was there, but when they
Really?
moved into what was Enron, is lovingly called Tenron, it was such a homer dome, that goofy hill in center field. Thank goodness they took that out. Now Minute Maid.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Killer Bees because that was the big rival.
Jeez. I mean, it'd be nice if Brisky could throw a strike here. That'd be really nice.
He's all over the place.
He sure is. I'm not a fan of Bo Brisky.
You're going to like the next play, trust me.
Okay.
I'm a little ahead of you.
I know you're a little ahead. Let's go ahead and get to what we learned over the weekend.
And it was Jason Hayward. Good. I'm glad he was out.
How about that? Our old buddy Jason Hayward. How about that?
Not a friend.
I'm still behind you, Brad. Let's see.
Are you?
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry.
Let's
I'm
go.
sorry. I hate doing that.
Let's go, Tigers. Yes, that's fine.
Tigers win 3-1.
Oh,
Totals and
love
highlights
that.
next.
Holy cow. 10 hits for Detroit. Houston, 7 hits in a 3-1 game. What a wild one to start the day.
Yeah, that playoff baseball out with a bang, and the Royals pitcher is just mowing them down in Camden Yards.
Yeah, he sure is, and they're up 1-0. So that's something to keep an eye on, as maybe we could have 2 underdogs win to start the day. That'd be wild.
And he's been tough. He only scattered 4 hits so far.
Wow, really good day for him then. Huh.
Cole Reagans.
How about that? Gotta love him.
Really
Future
do.
ace. Young guy. I believe like 26. So
Really young guy.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for him. All right, Brett, let's get it started with college football.
You start with college.
All right, I'll start with college. My first one from college football. Very clearly, Kalen DeBoer was the right hire at Alabama. I don't think there's any question about it. What he's done in the offseason, I mean, we talked to some of our friends down in Alabama.
It's been seamless.
It's been great. And he's come in there. It is not skipped a beat.
It is not not been Tampa Bay Ray Perkins taking over for Coach Bryant.
No, not at all. And if anything, it's been better because I think he got off on the right foot before the season started by being a little more open than Nick Saban. Not saying that anything was wrong with that, but certainly the media likes it when they can get a little more access.
Easiest person on earth to be.
Exactly. And so, he started everything off well, and then you come into the season, winning certainly helps. And then when you can get that big signature win over the Georgia Bulldogs, who are right now the team of the SEC, that definitely does a lot. So I don't think there's any question about it. He was by far the best hire for Alabama.
My first one big from the weekend, I think Brent said it, and a lot of people have said it, the two best teams in the SEC, maybe in college football, they played Saturday night.
That's right.
Alabama and Georgia.
That's right.
I got a feeling we see it again somewhere.
Yeah, I think we do as well. I mean,
could
those
see
teams,
it 2 more times.
You really could. And those two teams just look, right now, head and shoulders above the rest of the SEC. I mean, you can maybe throw Texas in that category, but outside of those 3 teams.
If I had to rank a top 5 in the SEC right now, it'd be Bama 1, Georgia 2, Texas 3, Tennessee 4, and 5 Mizzou.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I would do as well. I think that'd probably be what a lot of people would have for
6
their
would
top
start
5.
a debate, wouldn't it?
Certainly would. You get it gets interesting there.
Do you really want to throw down on who's 6th?
No, thank you.
I'm gonna pass too.
Yeah, I might throw down on 1 or 2, but no, I don't know about 6. That's a little
if you
too
want to fight it out over 6, go right ahead.
Go for it. My second thing I learned from the weekend in college football. Auburn's the worst team in the SEC. I mean, it is shocking the way they're finding ways to lose these games, and then I think it just makes it worse.
Are they? I asked that. I'm not trying to be wise guy. Are they?
I think so. I think so. I mean, right now they don't have a quarterback. They don't. I mean, they have good pieces outside, but when you don't have a quarterback,
and you can understand the condition that Mississippi State's in and starting over with Jeff Levy.
Absolutely. And maybe that's part of it. And I'll let that be part of it. Part of it is the hype of this season for Auburn. It was
the hype of Hugh Freeze.
The hype of Hugh Freeze. And so I think when you throw that in, you can look at Mississippi State and say, okay, you're starting over. We'll give you a pass. But you look at Auburn, and this was supposed to be the year you're supposed to take more steps, more positive steps, and you go out and you lose these games that you should be winning. And then instead of saying, you know what, we got to be better, we're just not playing well, you go out and say, if we were playing 9 more times, we'd beat them 9 times. And throwing everybody under the bus, it's just not a good look. I think just from a whole organization standpoint, Auburn, worst team in the SEC.
After the result Saturday in Oxford, it sets up this week for Lane Kiffin. This is as must-win as he's had at Ole Miss. It's really been, it's been great, and he has done a great job. But there hadn't been this kind of prove it big game. He's got it this week.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one, and you're right. I mean, after what happened on Saturday, you gotta do something this week for sure. Last one I have for college football. After what I've seen, and certainly things to clean up, BYU is a real contender for the college football playoff.
We're right together.
Oh, man. I mean, when you look at this team, 21 points in the first quarter, 10 in the second quarter, and then in the second half, really couldn't get much on the board, but still able to win that game on the road against a good team. And you look at the Big 12, it is so wide open right now. There's not a clear-cut favorite right now in that conference. Wow, how about that?
The most intriguing conference in the country is because of the evenness of it, the parity of it, and that's the Big 12. BYU, Iowa State, K-State, Utah, all could win it. And look out! I saw my friend Jimmy Gum that runs that sends out every week. What I like so much, my little.
Oh, the Blitz.
I have you print it for the Blitz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He sent out. He has Colorado as the Big 12 rep in the playoffs.
Whoa. That'd be
and
huge.
Jim's followed a lot of football. Texas Tech's good. Arizona with the big win. Fun league. Kansas State and Kansas aren't going anywhere. They're good.
It is a
fun league.
Very fun league. All right, let's hop over to the NFL. I'll get us started there as well. Jaden Daniels, one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League right now. As of today, when you look at what he has done to start the season, he is right there at the top 3, top 5. I won't debate what it is. he's just, I mean, and that's the thing, Brett, is being young. We've seen the other rookies in this class, the rookies from last year, there's been that struggle. There's been that kind of, oh man, this game is a lot faster. This game is different from what I was used to at the college level. And we haven't seen that from Jaden Daniels to do it at a place like Washington where it's been bad for a handful of years. And now, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm not worried about the Eagles right now for the Cowboys as the contender for the division. I'm worried about the Commanders, and that I haven't thought that in years.
Yeah, and they really have some nice pieces. My first from the NFL, the Titans get a win, but Will Levis, after Malik Willis last night, I don't know how hurt Will Levis is, but have that play as important as he is to them, and to come down on that shoulder, you got to have better judgment than that. I don't think he has good judgment. They're going to be drafting another quarterback.
Oh, man.
How about this trade? Fresh start for Trevor Lawrence. Get him out of Jacksonville to them. Fresh start, new place.
What does Tennessee send them, Bert?
I don't know that.
I mean, I'm asking for his value right now. Like, it's probably as low as it's ever been. So I'm
pick?
Yeah.
Like a 3?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's shown more into the league than any third-round pick.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. My second one for the NFL, Tua 100% deserved his contract. I think we've seen it now with the quarterback play that they've had in Miami with Skylar Thompson.
Yes, he deserved it.
He 100% deserved it, no question.
And he deserved it for no other reason than somebody was willing to pay him for that.
Exactly.
That's called the market.
And that was kind of the big question after his payday was, does Tua really deserve this? How much of an impact does he really make? Well, I think we're seeing it now with Miami because I do not think Miami would be in this spot. I don't necessarily think they'd be undefeated or anything, but I certainly don't think they would be in this spot if Tua was healthy and the quarterback for them right now.
My next one, Patrick Mahomes has the Kobe clutch gene, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does.
He's got it. He's got that winner clutch gene. He's kind of holding a not great team together until they find themselves, kind of catch a wave later in the year, like last year.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. And my last one, really quickly here, has got to be Cowboys defense is in trouble with the injuries that are coming out. I don't know about Micah Parsons. It sounds like he could miss this Sunday's game with an ankle injury. And then we just learned earlier today, DeMarcus Lawrence, who I was not really worried about him when he went down with his injury because he was standing on the sideline the rest of the game. He looked like he wasn't in a lot of pain, but he will be out 4 to 8 weeks with a foot injury. So definitely not good, and this team has already struggled against the run. It could get ugly for this Cowboys defense.
And we'll bring this up with Bo Marchand, talking NFL with him in about 15 minutes. What do you know? Running the ball really matters. Defense really matters.
That's right.
The two high safeties that flummox a lot of offensive rooms and coordinators. I don't mind defense in the running game coming back.
No,
it's a lot of kicking. Yeah. I don't know if I'm that wild about that, but I don't mind offense being turned down just a little bit.
No, I don't either, and we're definitely seeing that in the NFL. But let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
We are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Contractors, are you in town for a job or getting ready to do a job for a customer during their holiday shutdown? Then you should visit TSS Supply for your concrete coatings and supplies. Why wait for materials when TSS Supply has everything you need in stock and they can get it to you today or within 24 hours? TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wallow said hello.
It's football season, and nothing goes better with Game Time Eats than chicken wings. It's a tradition like no other, but not just any wings. It's the seasoning that makes the chicken wing. And nobody does it better than the Crazy Coop at 7199 Stage Road, west of Appling, and soon coming to downtown Memphis. Over 32 mouth-watering secret sauces and counting, like the jalapeno cheddar and the barbecue bacon bourbon. And don't bother asking them for the secret recipes. No matter how large your tailgating is or the family at home, kick off your game day with Crazy Coop party packs plus special bulk prices. Visit crazycoopstage.com to customize your wings and sauces. Whole wings, boneless wings. Try the Crazy Hot Suicide if you dare. Add Parmesan fries and fried dill pickles. And don't forget the carrots and celery sticks. For the full menu, which includes juicy burgers, catfish fillets, chicken nuggies, and crazy kid meals, go to crazycoopstage.com. That's crazycoopstage.com. You'd be crazy not to visit the Coop.
Every once in a while, a new concept comes on the scene and really upsets the old school apple carts. Well, that's exactly what Genesis Diamonds has done here in Memphis. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds is a fresh, exciting, revolutionary kind of jewelry store that has forever changed the jewelry landscape here in Memphis. Fall is just around the corner. What better time to make that big purchase than right now at Genesis Diamonds? With up to 30 times what you find at other stores in selection, no middleman prices that we've never seen here before, with natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes, Genesis has something for everyone. Plus, free service for life on any purchase and a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee that no other store would dare to offer. Genesis has turned the old school jewelry retail model upside down with lower margins, higher volume, no tricky pricing, no pressure, and no middleman. Get to Genesis Diamonds today and get that diamond purchase taken care of. This is the value leader, and nobody can challenge them here. Check out Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended. Genesis Diamonds, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Now, back to Sportstime on
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big. Big Daddy. The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number is the number 35. I've got some dates for you on 4/5, April 5th. Spencer Strider suffered a season-ending injury. On 5/26, Ronald Acuna suffered a season-ending injury. And on 8/18, Austin Riley suffered a season-ending injury. No other Major League Baseball team has ever made the playoffs in a year where 3 of their opening day starters missed the final 35 or more regular season games on the IL. The Braves became the first team to make the playoffs with 3 of their opening day starters missing 35 or more games. They did that yesterday by winning the second game of the doubleheader against the Mets.
Impressive organization, and maybe the best Brian Snitker job that he's done as field manager since he took over in the interim that got him the job.
That's right. Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
And it has paid off, and they got their organizational guy that they stuck with.
That's right.
And he's made it pay off. My big number is 4,256. That was the final number of hits for Pete Rose, for Charlie Hustle. only 160 home runs in that 42-56, and 2 of those were inside the park for Pete Rose. But the number that made him famous, that he marched into immortality, was the night he passed off Eric Shaw when he passed Ty Cobb with 4,192, 4192. Saw a tweet last night that banks in Cincinnati and any 4-digit code, security codes, anything, quit allowing people to use in Cincinnati 4192 because so many people had it, they were scared all their identities and bank accounts would be stolen.
That's great.
Everybody had 4192 as a 4-digit passcode.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, very easy, I guess, in Cincinnati to try to.
Where he was the hometown hero legend and remembered for a lot of things, but remembered for, bounding over Ray Fosse in the 1970 World Series. Riverfront Stadium was new. I mean, it was the shiny new toy of baseball parks, and I think that was the first all-star baseball game, first all-star game in primetime at night. And the hit, the RBI to send Pete Rose home was Jim Hickman from Henning, Tennessee, up around Ripley.
Wow.
And that was his only all-star game he ever made, and his only all-star game hit and RBI was driving in Pete Rose to run over Ray Fosse.
How about that? That's awesome. It's a good nugget. Wow.
He was a Cub, and the third base coach waving Rose in because he was in extra innings. Everybody's ready to go home.
Sure.
Was Leo DeRocher, who was manager of the Cubs.
Extra innings in an all-star game. That's great. I love
Imagine that.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Not today.
And they would have just played on and on and on.
It would never happen today. It's all right. That was fun. Speaking of the all-star game, we learned yesterday that Major League Baseball is set to return to primary uniforms for all-star games starting
Baseball
next year in
prayers
2025.
answered. Thank goodness.
Yes, I saw that, and the first thing I thought about, Brett, was you, because I know you have wanted this ever since they started the goofy All-Star Game jerseys.
Just so glad, and I'm telling you, between that yesterday and today on network TV, afternoon, daytime, playoff games, Rob Manfred, keep it up.
That's right. Yeah, flipping over to ABC.
That's a roll for him, isn't it?
Oh man. But flipping over to ABC at 1:00 and getting a semi-pregame for the first game of the day. You felt good about it.
I don't know the network programming shelf, but
no, I don't either. But it was good to have afternoon baseball.
I don't know. Does ABC still have soap operas in the afternoon? I never watch because I'm loyal to my soap operas.
You are loyal
General Hospital.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't know. Okay,
I think it's still on.
Not a question for me.
I don't know. I don't know the.
I used to be a Victor Newman guy, though, so I used to watch it.
I'm Young and Restless.
Yeah, Young and Restless, baby.
From day one, 1973.
After Bob Barker.
You know what his original name on the show was? It was not Victor Newman.
It was not? Enlighten me.
Christian.
What?
I've won Young and the Restless trivia before. I almost went on a fan cruise, but I thought he'd be a little creepy.
No, it wouldn't be creepy. I light up to this day. I'm a Mrs. Chandler guy. Like, let's stay on my wheelhouse.
Great Catherine Chancellor.
Yes.
Yes. Take your hats off.
Brian, don't look at us like that.
No, I have questions. What did the fan cruise include?
Well, a week of being with the cast and getting to know them better.
You would have gotten to meet
every
everybody.
Is it?
It's something. I don't know.
It's a little strong, yeah.
Maybe.
I almost did it.
Certainly super
But
fan.
me on a cruise.
Yeah.
Don't gamble and don't drink.
Well.
That's not really your trip. And not a big buffet either.
Yeah, so
about 2 bites.
But you had fun with cricket and Danny Romalotti, so hey.
Christine.
It was
cricket when she was younger.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Look at that.
But after she goes to law school and becomes a accomplished prosecutor, it was Christine.
There you go. How about that? I'm learning so much about whatever show we're talking about.
And really, the love triangle with Danny Romalotti and Phyllis and Christine, I know it well.
Yes. Yeah.
I met Michelle Stafford at a Super Bowl party in New Orleans. Big CBS DirecTV party at Galatoire's. I mean, it was Friday night of Super Bowl weekend, and she's not that much old. I'm going to say she's probably 63, 64, so around my age, and she's about 5'11", 6 foot, and had 4-inch heels on, so she just towered.
And fiery red hair.
She just towered over me. I felt like the biggest little kid. And I go over and I may have laid it on a little strong that I was a big fan. And she more or less patted me on the head and said, "Nice meeting you. Glad you liked the show." Like, don't be stalking me later.
Well, on that note,
Brian, that in the price, I'm telling you, that in the Price is Right, appointment TV.
I like the Price is Right.
And Bold and the Beautiful.
The Bold came on at 12:30 after the news. Like,
better believe
yes.
I'm lost in all the soap opera talk. Let's get to a break and wrap up this hour. When we come back, we're talking the NFL with Beau Marchant.
Don't do what? Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah?
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This is an ad by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Embracing this spooky time of the year can be fun, but what about fears lurking in everyday life? Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Entirely online, so it's designed to be flexible and convenient and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist. You could switch therapists anytime, no additional charge. Visit BetterHelp.com/succeed today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/succeed.
The best I-dos start with Sissy's Blue. Discover bridal jewelry worthy of your big day at Sissy's Log Cabin, along with our spectacular experience that comes with our promise of exceptional quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Experience our expansive selection when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Find your perfect engagement ring only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. The MPD's been down here blocking the right lane for at least 45 minutes on 55 southbound at Brooks and Elvis Presley. We had a stalled truck down here earlier, and they're still sitting here. Not sure what's going on, but the traffic flow is really heavy in this area now here in South Memphis on 55 southbound at Brooks and Elvis Presley, with these flashing lights slowing it down even more. Weimer's Jewelry at 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour, brought to you every single afternoon by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. It was a busy weekend in the NFL. We had 2 Monday Night Football games last night. One was really entertaining. Lions get a 42-29 win over the Seahawks. The other, not as entertaining. Titans get their first win of the season over the Dolphins. But we got to recap the entire weekend, so let's go ahead and get to Beau Marchant.
National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us now to talk the NFL. Bo, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with the game last night between the Lions and the Seahawks. Lions get a 42-29 win over the Seahawks. Jared Goff goes 18 of 18 for 292 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. He caught a touchdown pass. The offense looks really, really good. But on the flip side, they gave up a career-high completions and career-high passing yards for Geno Smith. Seahawks were able to run on them as well. I think I saw they said it late in the game, 9 defensive penalties for the Lions. How good can this Lions team be, and what do you want to see from this defense?
They play a tenacious type of defense. We know that. I mean, that's the Dan Campbell style, and that's what everybody loves about it. And they're going to be that way. They're going to get those penalties called on them. Teron Arnold, the rookie. I've been watching the Lions games, and last night, because it was Monday night, it was very evident because a lot of calls. But if you've been watching this young man, and even his career in college, I mean, he is feisty and tough and nasty, and he's grabby, and in those calls, he's going to have to,
especially when he gets beat.
Yep.
Yeah, those rookie mistakes are going to, that's something that, will have to be eliminated eventually. But listen, I think the Lions, Seattle's good offense. So, Seattle put points on the board, and I don't think the Lions went into that game thinking, we were going to shut down, the Seattle offense because they have a lot of weapons. And Geno Smith, he's playing good football. And he made a couple plays last night I thought were very, very resilient, the way he escaped the pocket and was able to see downfield and complete the pass. So, they're still a top 10 defense in points allowed for Detroit. They have a top 5-6 offense in points scored. So they're right there where you need to be. And I think just going through the motions, they're sitting there at 3-1. They should be in control of that division. I know Minnesota's 4-0, but I still think when push comes to shove, you're going to feel more confident with just Goff and that defense. And listen, the Vikings are playing phenomenal. I respect Kevin O'Connell so much, and that's one of the reasons I like them when we were doing our playoff stuff. I just think he's a good coach, and they know how to get what they want, out of the guys that they have. So I think the Lions are going to be there. But in my opinion, I think Detroit should be right where they need to be. If you're a Lions fan or you're the Detroit Lions, you wish you were 4-0. But there's only I think 2 teams in the league right now that are 4-0. So it's a hard task.
Bo, it come late January, last weekend in January, the 2:30 game, about 6 o'clock Central Time. The Detroit Lions, 1:40 to play, and Goff's got to drive them down the field, Homer Road. Do you trust him to do it?
I do. I do trust him to do it. Remember, he was in the Super Bowl. I mean, he led them, and he was in the shootouts with Mahomes years ago.
Got to the championship game last year.
Goff. Yeah, and Jared Goff. And Brett, to be honest with you, I think my biggest concern is the decision making that's going to be on Dan Campbell's shoulders. I mean, we made he has that gunslinger type mentality. Last year, it kind of bit him a lot, and I think that's where I question maybe some of the things that might be in the future for the Lions, where they make certain calls or do certain things that are decisions made by the head coach. So, and he's
kind of a sane Buddy Ryan.
That's a great analysis. Yes. So you're going to have to deal with those things. Has he turned the franchise around? Absolutely. Has he given it an identity? Absolutely. But I think if there's anything you could kind of question is that mentality where, hey, you know what, the offense is playing well. We're still going to do what we want to do. Again, sometimes you got to be dad, and you got to make the dad decision. What do we want to do? We want a hot tub, and we want a jet ski. Well, we got to pay the mortgage first. And I think sometimes he's like, you know what, we're gonna try to pay it all. We're gonna play the lottery here, and sometimes you lose. But nonetheless,
and that's how nuts Buddy Ryan was to call Dan Campbell sane.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, I love Campbell. I mean, the intensity, the way that defense flies around the ball. Just it's football. It's a little bit of something that I don't think we see a lot in the league. A real dominant defense that just plays lights out almost every play.
Yeah. Bo, I was talking about it earlier. I've really enjoyed watching Jaden Daniels play through these first 4 weeks of the season. He had the 2 games where Washington either scored a touchdown or kicked a field goal on every offensive drive. Looked good this weekend against Arizona. I felt like they scored at will. What do you think about this Washington team through 4 weeks? Can they contend for the division this year, or is it still a little too early?
Right now, after a limited short sample size, I would say they're absolutely in it. I mean, he's playing some of the best football of any quarterback in the league. And there's going to be those games where, he has those rookie games. But, all quarterbacks have those games. I just think when you look at what he's been able to do and then the confidence that's kind of growing, he's not, they're on such a roll. And, I didn't give them any chance to win in Cincinnati in week 2. And, they went in and they dominated, and then they come back. The Giants game, you could say the Giants might have won that game. I mean, I know they lost, but the Giants kind of outplayed them there. But, Washington was able to get through. And then a solid win against a good Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. So they're right there. And I think the Cowboys, you think they're going to be the dominant team, but who knows?
Yeah, they will. We don't think, but we know.
Yeah. And the Eagles, I mean, that's just, they were 10-1 last year, finished 11-7, and I thought they were going to cure it over the offseason, but no, here we are, and you talk about McCarthy and all the guys, Jags coach and all these guys, Sirianni. I mean, this isn't some news flash, but you talk about a guy walking the tightrope as a head coach. It's definitely Nick Sirianni and that Eagles team. So I think Washington is totally capable of winning that division, just because the Cowboys, they just that Browns game, they look so dominant, and they've really failed to duplicate what they look like on week 1. So. Yeah. And Lawrence is down. Who knows what Parsons' health is going to be? They still got to get the running game going. And then you got the Eagles and then you got the Giants who are playing good football. So it might not be such a cakewalk for Philly or Dallas, as Washington and the Giants are playing a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the injuries to the defense. We've already seen this defense for Dallas struggle, especially against that run game. And now we still don't know about Micah. I saw a report last night that says it's trending to him being out on Sunday, and now we learned today that DeMarcus Lawrence could miss anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks with his foot injury. How much do both of those injuries hurt this defense, and what does that mean for this team going forward?
Yeah, they're significant. And you're talking about, when you look at the interior and then the second line of defense, I mean, you got, they're the dominant forces up front, and those are the guys putting on the pressure. I don't know when they're getting Deron Bland back. I mean, he was a superb playmaker for them last year. I know he's due to come back, and that will add some spice to the secondary. And I think, 9 interceptions, 4 or 5 touchdowns last year. So, they get him back. I think that could give them some relief in terms of just having a solid secondary because that front 4 or front, the whatever base they run, it's not going to be as potent, obviously, with Parsons and Lawrence. And Parsons at least, even if he's not playing this week, they'll get him back, the following week. You never want to have a guy of his caliber, especially with Lawrence out. But at least they're going to have a guy like Parsons where, if you're an OC, you have to, accommodate or, identify him and calculate him into how you're going to protect your quarterback and certain things you want to do. So that's a good thing for the Cowboys. But it's, the Cowboys, they're going to have to rely on the offense. They're going to have to rely on Dak Prescott this weekend against the Steelers. And it's kind of funny, the Steelers play great defense and the Cowboys play great offense. So it's going to come down to how good can a possibly, no Micah Parsons defense play against a Steelers offense is still kind of finding their way that have a lot of injuries to deal with them themselves.
Bo, I want to talk about Bo. How does Bo Nix throw for 60 yards and beat Aaron Rodgers in Aaron Rodgers Stadium 10-9?
Yeah, I had the Jets winning the most games in the AFC when we were doing our stuff, and listen, they don't look good, and there was so much hype around their Monday night win against the Patriots. I just didn't understand it. I don't care if they've lost to the Patriots for 100 years. This isn't Belichick and Brady. This is Jared Mayo and Jacoby Brissett. So even that, I was like, why is the excitement? And the way that they played, I know the rain was there, and that's an eliminator of a lot of things, but nonetheless, you got to score. You got to put the game away, and they were unable to do it. And when you let a team hang around, usually that's when they get you. And they had their chance. Greg Zuerlein missed a game-winning field goal at the end, but nonetheless, you shouldn't have put yourself in that position. Rodgers was never efficient. The running game was lacking. I mean, Brees Hall, 10 carries, 4 yards. Allen had a decent day, but 8 carries, 34 yards. But still, you're talking about under 50 yards by your running back. So the ground game wasn't there in a rainstorm. So you at least think the ground game could get going. But kudos to Sean Payton. That team, nobody's given any credit to the Broncos, and they're winning ugly, but, they're winning. And I don't know how many more games they can win like that. You can't obviously win a lot of games, 60 yards. But I think it was reminiscent of the Raiders game last year against the Chiefs when they won that game. I think Adrian O'Connell had even less yards passing, or didn't attempt to pass. Was some bizarre thing? The Raiders beat the Chiefs last year.
Mm-hmm. Bo, the big news today, Davante Adams, the receiver for the Raiders, has officially requested a trade. Who are some teams that you think could be in the market for him, and maybe a place that could come up with a deal to get Davante Adams on their team?
Well, I think you got to throw Pittsburgh in the hat. I mean, they were hot on the Brennan Ayuk thing, so I just think the Steelers would be the first team that I would think of. And then you kind of, we all know Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, but then you start thinking of salary cap and all those things. But I think Pittsburgh, in my mind, is the clear cut, and they're not mentioned in a lot of things. You hear Buffalo, you hear the Jets. So, this is a tricky thing. You got to look at the teams, who's contending. Could Atlanta pull something like that off, add another playmaker alongside Drake London, and maybe that allows Kyle Pitts to finally emerge a little bit? So I would say the Steelers number one, and then I think you still got to look at Buffalo. I mean, Josh Allen's the centerpiece, and they're playing well, and I know they didn't play their best football against the Ravens the other night, but nonetheless, Josh Allen is a top tier quarterback, and you give him a guy like Adams, that kind of just like a Stephon Diggs that really puts that offense over the top. So I'd say the Steelers and Buffalo would be the top two off the top of my head as we speak tonight.
And the Baker Mayfield renaissance continues. He had a tough week last week, but a good one this week in lighting up Philadelphia.
Oh, phenomenal. I just, right off the bat, quick strikes. Then he gets the rushing touchdown. 21 points on the board, and they put the Eagles out early, and it wasn't really a match. It's just they knocked them out, and they got them kind of like a fight. They got them on wobbly legs, and they just kind of continued to put them into submission. Baker was 3-1. The Buccaneers, Todd Bowles is a good coach, and Baker's a good quarterback, and they've found something in Tampa where he can be himself. And he can be himself in a positive way. And we always joke around, Brett, that sometimes Baker has to be his best when he's in the worst situation. But he's not in the worst situation. We're still getting the best of Baker Mayfield, and that's kind of eluded him a lot of his career. But in Tampa, it really does seem like he has found it. And I don't know if you guys, I read somewhere where he talked about Tom Brady, and he's a little bit different of a character in terms of guys can be more relaxed and more themselves, and maybe that's a carryover where he can be himself, and the team, they're winning, they're buying into what he brings to that locker room. And listen, you can't argue with the way he's playing. And they're right there. They have a great record, and they're playing good football. You can't say the Buccaneers are winning on, bad calls or lucky breaks. I mean, they're going out and they're beating their opponents. And Philadelphia, internally, there's probably a lot more going on than we know. 2-2 is not where they want to be. But they did beat a good Philadelphia team, and they stacked some solid wins early on. So 3-1 in control of the NFC South, and it's a good NFC South. The Atlanta's playing good football, the Saints are playing good football, but Tampa's playing better than both those teams.
Bo, who's the team right now? 1-3, maybe even 2-2. I don't think it would be Jacksonville at 0-4. Who's the lookout for our team that it's early, but they'll be fine come Christmas?
I think it's Cincinnati. I don't think there's any. They're a slow starting team. I mean, if you look at their record the previous years under Zach Taylor, they're right around this 2-3 mark, 1-3 mark, and they'll turn things around. You got to keep Burrow healthy. That's the key. We know that, but that's for any elite franchise. You got an elite quarterback. It goes hand in hand. I think the Cincinnati Bengals at 1-3 doesn't make me nervous. for where they're at. I don't think the Steelers are a 3-1 team. I think they'll start to, kind of fade, and, you'll kind of see the standings in a few weeks as Cincinnati starts to climb, and I think the Steelers start to decline. And I think you could kind of say that with, some other teams as well. I mean, when you look at at least the AFC, like Houston, 3-1, they should probably continue to stack. But I think everybody else in that mix, I think that the Chargers should start to, 2-2. I think they'll start to distance themselves a little bit from some of these other teams. Like Tennessee, Jags. The Jags they're 0-4, but they're not a bad football team. But people say, well, we know what the bad teams, they're just not winning. They're shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, we know Carolina's a bad football team, but I think, the Giants, they're not a very good football team. But the Jags, I wouldn't count them out, at least as a wild card. And that might sound foolish at this point, and I'm not a Jags person, but I still believe that, that they have a good roster. After 4 games, I couldn't say they're completely out of it.
Mm-hmm. Talking to Bo Marchand, he joins us to talk the NFL. Rashee Rice went down with an injury last game, and at halftime, it sounded like the team feared that he tore his ACL. They said that he was gonna get an MRI on it yesterday, and then last night, Adam Schefter tweeted out, after further testing on Rashee Rice's knee today, there remains uncertainty over the extent of his injury per sources. After consulting with team doctors and receiving second opinions, more tests are required to determine the full extent of Rice's injury and his recovery timeline. No answers are expected until next week. So they've already ruled him out for the Monday Night Football game against the Saints. What will the Chiefs do in his absence? Because Rashee Rice has kind of started to turn into one of Patrick Mahomes' favorite options.
Oh yeah, I mean he was the number one option for that Chiefs team. So it's big, but the Chiefs are a resilient football team, and they found a way to beat the Chargers this weekend without him. I think this week they're going to have to go into it without a lot of new options. They're not going to acquire Devontae Adams this week. They're not going to get, somebody, and they're not going to get somebody by, this weekend where they're going to throw them in the lineup and they become a vital key piece for Mahomes. Who knows about the health? I remember Ted Bruschi years ago. He had a horrific knee injury, and it looked, when you watched it, you said, hey,
it's over.
It's over. And he might have played the next week. I just remember him doing it and just like, wow. And it just, so maybe, listen, I could only think it's a positive thing for the Chiefs and Rice that they don't know what it is yet. Because if they would have said, hey, it's an ACL, and I'm not a doctor, I'm just going off previous practices when guys hurt their knees, they wait a day, they do the MRI, and So maybe it's not what they feared. And, we all hang on those words. When, Reed said it doesn't look good. We hang on those words.
Tracy Wolfson on the field.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, and all those type of things. You say, hey, vice versa. If you say, hey, Micah Parsons, he looks like he's going to play this week, or he looked really good, or I feel confident he's going to play. You take those, hey, he's going to play, and he ends up not playing. So I just think, Reed said it didn't look good. It didn't look good. We all saw it. It didn't look good. But who knows? I just think I'm optimistic for Rice and the Chiefs that maybe it isn't as significant as they thought, because I just think, and again, I'm not a doctor, I just think if they would have known by now, what's today, Tuesday?
Yep.
They would have definitely had a better idea, at least something they could say publicly about, where he's headed. Is he going on IR this week? And they haven't even put him on IR. So I just think that they know that maybe there's something, not as sinister with that knee as they previously thought.
Bo, you've got a great one. Sunday night football on NBC. You'll be at Acrisure Stadium in your seat in the press box covering the Pittsburgh Steelers as they play the Cowboys. Cowboys lead the all-time series 17-16, but we know what it is in Super Bowls. It's Steelers in the Super Bowl against Dallas. What kind of special buzz is it when the Cowboys come to town and it's Sunday night football? Does it even excite the grizzled old sports writer like you?
Oh, yeah. First of all, it's Sunday Night Football. You're the game of the night. Everybody in America is watching that game. And then you have the Steelers versus the Cowboys. And when you have a team like that coming into Acrisure to play the Steelers, and they're both competitive teams, it's going to be a fun night. I hope it's a good game in terms of just, I just don't want to see some 10-9 grinded out, last-second field goal type game. I just want to see some, semblance of offense and defense. A nice 24-27 game, vice versa. Whoever wins, loses. I think that would be a nice night, just enjoyable. But I just don't want a game where, we got 6 punts in the first 6 series and there's no points and we're going into halftime and it's 3-0. And that's what scares me sometimes with the Steelers, because they're able to smother a lot of offenses and win in a nasty way. So Cowboys, Brian, hey, that's your team.
That's right.
What do you think? This is a big one for you, and it's a big one for the Steelers.
He thinks they're going to beat them 45-0.
Well, maybe not that much, but hey, a win's coming.
Yeah,
44, not 45, 44.
That's right. Get it right, Brett. Bo, were your ears burning Saturday when I was in Oxford, and the first time this football season I ran into Big Paul Jones, scout extraordinaire for the CFL?
Listen, I forgot to tell you, Paul is one of the funnest individuals. Sure, and I'll have to I don't know how much time we have, but you have to ask him about his time down in Mobile when he got on the elevator with Bill Belichick. And he said, Bill did not, you could just tell, Bill didn't want to talk. I knew he didn't want to talk. But if you know Paul, he just has this charismatic personality.
He sure does.
And he said he just started peppering Bill with questions on the elevator because Bill had nowhere to go. And he said he knew he didn't want to talk to him. And the more Bill didn't want to talk to him, the more he fired off more questions. But the way he tells the story, it's fabulous. And he's a great scout mind, great GM mind. Great, but nonetheless, that did make my day when you said you guys were able to get together that Saturday.
It was great to see him.
Well, Bo, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy Sunday Night Football this weekend. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Yep, stay safe, gentlemen.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you, Bo.
Bo Marchant joining us to talk the NFL like he does every single Tuesday after another busy weekend, and he'll be there Sunday night for Sunday Night Football between the Cowboys and the Steelers, which should be a really, really good one. But before we get to a break, let me remind you about if you're in the market for a car, a vehicle, I've got the perfect spot for you to visit. It is Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2024 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the 2025 Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635 horsepower. And it's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 tax credit when leased with approved credit. Also, take a look at the 2025 Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment. The 2025 Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% with 72 months financing available with approved credit. Also, don't forget about the 2025 Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call at 877-259-6169. That's 877-259-6169. They'll be able to help get you into the right vehicle for you, or you can go see their entire collection online at jaguarbluffcity.com to find that next perfect vehicle. Let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds, a luxury brand, Rolexes, and Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's gotten heavier in the last few minutes down through South Memphis with that traffic flow on 55 southbound all the way down into South Haven. Still moving over here right now, 240 east up by Poplar. Now it is cranking up with more volume on 40 east from Sycamore View Road all the way out to Germantown Parkway. Hey, if you'd like to help out the hurricane flood victims in Tennessee and western North Carolina, just donate now to the American Red Cross. Check out their website at redcross.org and help make a difference. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show, and we've got 2 fun ones going on right now in Major League Baseball. We've got 1 game final. We talked about that earlier. The Detroit Tigers get a win over the Houston Astros. Right now, bottom of the 9th, 1 on, 1 out. Kansas City with a 1-0 lead over Baltimore, as Baltimore trying to get a run in to take this to extra innings or maybe even win it, but it's starting to get dire. And then in the second game that's going on right now, the Mets up 3-2 in the bottom of the third. The Brewers have 1 on in the bottom of this third inning, and things getting a little chippy early in this one. Jesse Winker brought in 2 runs with his at-bat, a 2-run triple, and while he was running, I mean, this guy's sprinting towards second to round second, he is talking to Freddie Peralta on the mound and Willie Adames, and goes to third and is just barking the entire time he's at third. They eventually drove him in with a sac fly on the next at-bat. So 3-2 there, and this is a series. Earlier in the season, we had a bench clearing between the 2 teams, so no love lost between these 2 teams this year, and so 2 really fun games right now.
And we never forget in baseball, do we?
Oh, Brett, no.
Any slight.
No, never. I mean,
Backfield spring training 2011.
That's
always
right.
Remember.
Yes, you always remember what happens. And certainly Jesse Winker has not forgotten anything. So we'll see what happens with these. But right now, at least, underdogs looking good in day 1.
and I don't know if you've been able to either, or Darian, because we've all been
Sure.
busy. These 3 games so far, which of the 3 home field ballparks do you think has rocked the loudest? I hadn't been able to kind of discern that.
Yeah, I haven't. The only one I was able to
Tough
really
on all
listen
of
to
them.
No
was
sound,
Houston.
yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
Baltimore looks really good
It
on television.
That's the one that just
Yeah.
opted, just sound down has looked.
Yeah, Baltimore looks good.
And Brian, the Angeloses did everything they could to kill baseball
Yep.
in Baltimore. Thankfully, they didn't. And now under new ownership, David Rubenstein, the owner, and from the Carlisle Group, and just made of money. And thank goodness. And I think he really cares about winning. There was a time, Peter Gammons, I'm going to say this was when Peter Gammons first left the Boston Globe and became baseball ESPN expert. He said the best 2 baseball towns in the country were Baltimore and St. Louis.
Wow. That's high praise. And certainly we know what St. Louis is, and I think you've seen it with Baltimore, and especially just watching this year, with the excitement for these young stars and this team and how well they've played. It has been rocking at a lot of their games, and I think they've done fun things and gotten
But it's
that
a
fan
Ravens
base into
town
it.
now, isn't it?
Oh, for sure, 100%. That definitely is first, but I do think that city does love baseball, and I think you see it.
And Spark, the stadium renaissance across baseball with Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I hadn't been there. I'd love to go.
Yeah. No, it looks great. It's kind of one of those ballparks that you
Royals
would
win.
love to go to. Oh man, did they really?
1-0.
Man, what a game!
Takes 1 to win 1.
Sure does. I mean,
And it won 1 today.
That's right. If you can't score 1, you don't deserve to win. So now that means both of the underdogs, both of the road teams, have won the first 2 games of the day. Mets up right now, and then only one game that we're waiting on later tonight at about 7:30, Braves and Padres.
You know what I'm hoping for, and was hoping for it in this KC-Baltimore game?
What's that?
Real extra innings.
Wait, it's been a while.
Baseball.
It's been a while since we've seen real extra innings.
Instead of a ghost runner.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like church league softball
That's
going out
correct.
to second.
That's a good point. We have not seen that. I would love to see that in this Mets and
And then when we
Brewers
get
game.
one, I want it to go 23 innings.
Do you though, Brett?
Yeah, I do.
Because no. Because
That's what does it.
Exactly.
You're right.
That's what would be.
Just the ham and egg 11 innings. Okay, you're right. You're right.
Manfred would be sitting there going, "We can't have this.
That's it.
This
Done.
This is taking way too long." We get ghost runners in the playoffs.
The Murdochs calling from Fox going, we can't, well, it's not on
That's
Fox
right.
now, but they may be calling anyway.
That's right, yeah.
We can't have this.
all
It's
the
destroying our
networks-
programming.
all the networks are calling, asking, why are these baseball games going so long?
And that's one good thing about, and Fox has been a great baseball partner. Don't want to knock them because they've stuck with baseball, especially October and even in the summertime on the weekends. So thank goodness for them when not a lot are jumping at being the carrier for baseball.
Sure.
But one good thing about being on ESPN, you're not blowing any nighttime program if they play to 4 in the morning.
No. You've got it. They don't have anything else to show right now, especially
Darren,
on a Tuesday night.
What do y'all keep your eye on at 1960 Union for? If they stay on there, it keeps all y'all there to the wee hours.
Well, the anchors are the ones that dislike it. Me personally, I'm a sports guy, so they look at me weirdly, and I'm like, "Hey, free football, hey, overtime." So I tend to like it, but the people that are not in that world, they tend to dislike it big time. I mean, big time.
I believe it.
They look at it strictly work, strictly work.
That's right. They want to be in the parking lot at 10:33.
Yes, you know it, Brent. You know it. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do.
As Bryant can attest, I get there early, but when I leave, it's shot out of a cannon.
That's right.
That's what most of it are.
When it's time to go, it's time to go. I mean,
party's over.
No, I don't blame you at all.
All right, Brian, I got a quick number for you for a wild card. This number just flashed across.
Okay.
They've had 16 of these series. The winner of game 1 has won 14 of 16, 83%.
Wow, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Holy cow. Well, it makes me feel
It's
good
a big
for my
number of the day.
honestly,
That's great.
Makes me feel good for my Tigers pick yesterday.
Yeah, make you feel good for them.
I don't know though. When I look at who the Tigers are going to throw these next couple of days, get a get a little nervous. But
83 is 83, man.
Better wrap it up in game 2. I don't even know. Did Detroit have a listed pitcher when we were talking about it earlier for tomorrow's game?
They did not.
I have it pulled up for tomorrow. Nothing on Detroit. All I got tomorrow is Waka with KC, Cease with San Diego. That's all I have for tomorrow. I'm sorry. That's the third. Hold on. I'm sorry. I went all the way up to day 3. Lugo for KC tomorrow. Manaya for the Mets, and Freed and Musgrave for the Braves and Padres.
Yeah, so nothing yet.
Yeah, I was looking
Detroit.
way ahead.
I'm curious.
Tom Ackerman picked Dodgers, Yankees. I think when we got to that, I would embrace it because that's the 2 big markets, the team of all time in World Series. The Dodgers are not the National League team with the most World Series. It's the St. Louis Cardinals, but the Dodgers are really good, and I think that would be fun. I don't know that it brings any. I don't think it moves the ratings needle that much, and I think that would be subject to criticism by the baseball haters that are plenty out there of, look, even Dodgers, Yankees didn't do anything. Nobody cares. No, you don't care.
No, and I think it would it would get a ton of criticism for that reason exactly, because if you got those 2 teams, you would have Shohei Ohtani
There
on
you
one
go.
side,
Thank you. I was going to say, drill it down to Judge and Shohei. Do they move the needle? Not necessarily Dodgers and Yankees.
Great question.
If they don't, then there's going to be a lot of criticism because those are the 2 biggest faces right now in terms of
and
excitement.
if they don't, Brian, I promise you, I'll come in here and say this. Okay,
sure.
But, so you don't like it? It's not. It's not 1958 anymore. It's not 1978 anymore. Heck, it's not 1998 anymore. With baseball ratings. Don't gimmick up the game,
right?
Because you've got your bedrock fans, and you're probably not moving anymore to it. Don't run us off.
No, I'm with you on that, and but it would be interesting to see, and because you talk about what is it that casual sports fans want to see? It's home runs, and those 2 guys bring it, and those are the 2 home run hitters and guys that get excited. But I'd be fine with Dodgers and Yankees. The only team I do not want to get to the World Series is the Astros. Anybody else, I'd be fine
Kansas
with.
City. For me, I'll never forgive them.
Sure. Okay, so you've got one.
Ever.
I've got one. Darren, do you have a team that
ruined my life for 6 weeks in '85?
Despise to see them in the World Series?
Not this in right now. Everybody right now is kind of rooting for it.
Okay, well,
I would kind of be okay. But back to the whole Yankees and the Dodgers thing. If that's Paul Bunyan and said Swiss Army knife being Shohei, what else is going to move the needle?
That's a good point.
If not Paul Bunyan and the Swiss Army knife that is Shohei, thank you.
Recognize your audience, appeal to them, and don't go goofy.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that's the big.
And no 9 o'clock starts. Nothing late. No.
That's a good point there, Darian. Tonight, the second game, 7:38, first pitch, with the speed of the game, that should be over in time for.
No.
Well, not network news because ESPN or for Sports Center, I guess.
Sure, but certainly good for just viewing. It's prime time, 7:30 on ESPN. People are going to be looking for something to watch, and they've got it. And it's not going to be that last game of the wild card starting at 9:30. I've got to stay.
Which
up
I thought
now
I was going to get. We were talking during the break, and I thought that we would get a 9:30 start.
So I think a 7:30 start's great.
Yeah. One year, I think it was 2001 Cardinals against Arizona. I know they played Arizona that year, but I think it was that year. Local time for one of those games, first pitch, Memphis time, 10:20.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Woo. No, thank you.
And I was just going to bed then at 10 o'clock, unlike now.
Well,
earlier time.
That's
sounds
rough.
like a Hawaii Fresno State start or
something.
something.
Yes, sounds like one of those Hawaii games that everyone stays up to.
I think
try
Steve
to make more
Klein
money.
got lit up late in that game, too.
Oh, really? Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that
Cardinals
happens.
were good in 0-1. If they could have gotten by the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Those pesky D-backs.
They'd have played them 9 more series.
That's right. They would have won. 9 more series. That's a lot of games, Brett.
That's a lot of baseball. That takes baseball into about January, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does. They'd get
really
like
weird scheduling.
A month break, and then they'd be back for spring training. Man, that would be a lot of fun.
How concerned are you about Jaren Jackson? Just waiting for more that we're not going to get?
I'm trying to wait for more, but yeah, I think And it's because
Grizzlies
last
insider
year.
source told me don't sweat it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
good,
Thank you. That's
good,
where I was going
good.
because the statement when you guys were when we started off the show and you guys were talking about it,
Yeah.
I wanted to say simply, you get in shape to play basketball. You don't play basketball to get in shape. That sounds like he came in a little bit out of shape. Just a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, still,
Tweaks and stuff happen at the beginning.
Sure,
yeah.
it does, but it's also, this is a city, a fan base that last year
We've been
it
burned.
felt like every day
Yes,
somebody was going
yes.
down, and so it's hard to. And I'm not saying I'm sitting here like
Poo-pooing it,
oh
yeah.
no, Jaren's hurt, but it's hard to say, hey, no biggie. Don't sweat it when last year happened. It's very easy to go, oh no, here we go again, and kind of get into
I took
that
it from
mindset.
the athlete standpoint, like from a player standpoint.
Sure.
You just got there,
Yep.
minor tweak.
Yep.
Bryant, on opening night for the Grizzlies, my big number of the day is going to be 24, 24th year
Sure.
of the Memphis Grizzlies. In that time, I really think we have become a sophisticated NBA
Sure.
sports town.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
And the only reason we're jaded, burned by the injuries is
Mm-hmm.
because I think this management team has been the less, not more, and they could
Sure.
change that.
They absolutely could. You're
And
right.
we're not giving away the nuclear codes doing it.
No, and I think should after what last year was, I think should be a little more open with kind of what they give out, especially on the injury front, and especially when it's an injury like this where it's so early in the preseason. I mean, they haven't even played a preseason game. There's still 2 or 3 weeks until the regular season starts. I think you be super upfront about this, and if it's bad, just lay it out there. If it's not bad, lay it out there and let people know.
And I'll say this about the sophistication of the of Grizzlies fans in our area. The only thing I would take exception with them, that's when I first kind of started playfully cracking on getting a John Conchar jersey. I do think too much emphasis is placed in some social media quarters on 10th and 11th men.
Sure, yes.
But Brian,
I'm with you.
I'm going to talk out both sides of my mouth here.
All
I'm
right.
going to defend that in that that's passion.
That's fandom.
I got the Ole Miss backup deep snapper down.
Sure. I mean,
And it's not just because of my job.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a big brawl over 11th, 12th man, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that.
I'm going to pass.
Yeah, no, I pass you. But also saying that, I mean, I'm the same guy, Brett, that, I'm looking at hockey sweaters for the guy that may or may not make the Kraken roster this year.
That's
just
right.
Because
So
I think he's a good
one
player,
thing that is kind of you're nonplussed about from someone else, that's what may drive their fandom. So let it drive.
Exactly.
You cheer and you root how you would like. I may not be able to match you on that intensity on everything.
Sure, and that's completely fine. But it is nice. I mean, seeing a lot of the media members up there in Nashville for day one of training camp and seeing a lot of these pictures and stuff. I
It's
know
here. Like we
got
said to
the
Rob,
bad
it's
thing
back.
with Jaren, but seeing all of this stuff, it gets you excited. I mean, we're about to have basketball, and that's really fun.
It's getting close to the dinner hour, and for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, let Jason's Deli be one of your choices. We got a lot of options, a lot of great options. They have a lot of different locations and a lot of options too, with locations over on Ridgeway Road across from MUS, by the University of Memphis at Poplar and Highland, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, always online, whether it's to dine in, to go, or delivery. Wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli. Over 200 area Memphis associates with this Jason's Deli group. They're there to please. And if you've got a big event coming up, I know October is a time for a lot of festivals, a lot of get-togethers, a lot of Halloween, a lot of school things, a lot of church things. If you're having that big event, 5 or 5,000, let Jason's Deli cater it for you. Same day and last minute orders are welcomed. When you feel like you may not have your event planned just perfectly on the most important thing for those kind of events, your food, step aside, let Jason's Deli step in, and that's when they really excel, bringing more to the table. It's a family thing with all the great options. For breakfast, Sunshine Breakfast Box, lunchtime, the Pasta Feast, dinner time, the Plain Jane Potato Bar, the most incorrectly named thing ever. It's anything but plain. It's gigantic. Giant baked potatoes wrapped hot and ready to serve with cheese, sour cream, bacon, butter, chopped green onions. And all this food is about choice at Jason's Deli. Whether you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals, they've got you covered. Plenty of organic food to choose from. Healthy, first franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. And in every one of these locations, at Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and in Cordova, the complimentary free ice cream and also that great salad bar in every location for you to prepare your salad however you would like, with over 30 items to choose from. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah?
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easier to last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof. Crafted to be savored responsibly.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover. Once again,
this is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest Crunch Time.
You are looking live.
In your life have you seen anything like that?
Goodbye! Hello, Haskell.
It's obviously Crunch Time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned is Major League Baseball playoffs are here, and they're already crazy. We've got underdogs winning the first two games. Start off with the Detroit Tigers getting the 3-0 win over the Astros. Then Kansas City, a 1-0 win over the Orioles in Baltimore. And now we've got another great game going on right now as Jackson Chourio, the rookie for Milwaukee, just drove in the tying run in the bottom of the fourth. 3-3 here. Definitely more scoring in this one than we saw in the first two games combined. But a 3-3 game, 2 on, 1 out right now for Contreras. So a fun game here in Milwaukee. We'll see what Atlanta and San Diego can do tonight, but really enjoying the baseball that's being played today.
That might be the team official travel party, but looks like a lot of Mets hats right behind their dugout. That could be that could be them.
I think they travel well. I saw some pictures last weekend when the Mets were in Milwaukee, and there were a lot of Mets fans. But you're right, it might just be a traveling party, but certainly a lot of Mets fans in Milwaukee.
That great Met lid, I love that hat.
So good.
That orange and white. What I learned. I love the idea of the SEC and the Big Ten having this playing partnership. Here's what I want. I want the SEC to go to 9 league games, play 2 teams, one at home, one away every single year. That takes you up to 11.
Yep.
The 12th game, no FCS, FBS in your area. For instance, Ole Miss, in a regular rotation against Memphis, Arkansas State, Tulane, Southern Miss, Mississippi State, Tulane, Memphis, Southern Miss, UAB, Arkansas State, Memphis, Tulsa, North Texas, somebody like that, Tennessee, Memphis, Middle Tennessee, Charlotte, Georgia State. This can be done. No FCS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like that idea. I'm with you there. What I could have done without was the big news earlier today out of Dallas. DeMarcus Lawrence will miss anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks with a foot injury. We still don't know anything about Micah Parsons just yet, but I saw a report last night that said things are trending to him missing that big-time Sunday night football game against the Steelers. And when this defense has already struggled through the first couple of games of the season, you certainly don't want injuries on that side of the ball, and now it looks like they could be down 2 big-time players on that defense.
I could have done without this. I trust the Memphis leadership. Let me lead with that. If the money wasn't square on the pack, okay, I understand why you turned it down, but it wasn't good enough for Memphis, but it was good enough for Gonzaga. And tell me the rest of this year, the one AAC game people are looking forward to, and then January to March, tell me who they're looking forward to playing in the AAC. Those pack games are at least good games. Sure. And if the money, and it wasn't, or they were taking it, I know that. But never mind tip times and never mind days of week. I think the AAC conference schedule this year, there's going to be struggling attendance with a good team.
Sure, and Brett, you know how much I would have loved to be in the same conference with Gonzaga and getting them 2 times every year in basketball. And so that was massive news earlier today that Gonzaga is going to join. And it sounds like the initial reporting last week from McMurphy was that they would get full revenue share in the Pac-12. It sounds like maybe not full revenue share for them, but it does look like it will be close to full. And they have said that the Pac-12 has said that teams that make the NCAA tournament, they will get 50% of the unit that the conference gets for their team making.
And they don't own a pair of shoulder pads.
How about that? Yeah, so I think a really, really good deal for Gonzaga to get into the Pac-12. It definitely looks like while football will lead the way, Pac-12 certainly trying to put an emphasis on basketball as well. Where are you beaming tonight?
San Diego for Padres and Braves. Padres defeated the Braves 4-2 in the 98 NLCS before losing to the Yankees 4-0 in the World Series. Michael King on the mound, and the young starter for the Braves was named, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. It was, I think, the A.J. Smith Schuster or Shaver or something like that.
Shawver.
That's right. I don't know. I'm not big on him. A guy that I think has spent a lot of this year.
Padres were the NLCS last year.
Yeah, you're right. I think Padres probably get a win tonight. I'm going to beam there as well. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, 3 really, really fun games to start the day. Now Brewers up 4-3 on the Mets as they tacked on another run in the bottom of the 4th. And we'll see if Braves Padres can live up to the same hype we've seen with all these other games.
Yeah, we'll see if the long flight affected Atlanta. It doesn't look like that's the reason or hurting the Mets very much in Milwaukee. We saw the end of Kansas City, Baltimore. It was a good one. It was KC 4-0 over Baltimore in 2014 in the ALCS. That's the only other time they've ever met in the postseason.
Yeah, so it will be fun, and you mentioned it. We'll have kind of the same sort of schedule that we had today, tomorrow, with these start times. And so when we start the show tomorrow, Royals-Orioles will be getting ready to kick off Game 2, and we'll be close to knowing a final for Tigers and Astros.
We're not starting the show tomorrow with a Young and the Restless update?
Brett, maybe you and Darian could do that if y'all want.
Take it off there.
I will not. I will not have any updates for the Young
Take it
and
into the break
Restless.
room.
Exactly. Yes.
Hey, man, I guarantee you there's some listeners that loved us for it. We
I'm
took
sure.
them down memory lane for
I'm
just
sure.
a bit, just a second.
I just had no idea what y'all were talking about. That's okay. That's fine. But
50-year viewer.
Wow, how about that? So yes.
35-year viewer.
Wow, 0-year viewer.
You're the smart one.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your night. Enjoy this playoff baseball, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.